Good morning. This is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. PsychicTarot.ca, book your tarot reading and unlock your spiritual journey. And the Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from farm fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids and cubs, and welcome to Season 6 and Episode 917 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. Oh, Canada. Always 100% Canadian. Right here. There's the cup. And always, of course, beaverific. And if you thought I was ambitious, and you can see there's beaver moistener in here today. And if you thought I was ambitious to cup in it, kits and cubs, you'll see that no, I am a beaver of many skills because I'm actually three cupping it because today is definitely a chai tea morning. Yummy, spicy goodness. Still a little hot, though. Because it's a morning where we need some soothing and some calm, you see. I am your host, the Eager Beaver. Pronounce he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver, hey. And not with me as usual is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. A big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Pepper Master, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and PsychicTarot.ca. I'm not sure if I got the date in today, but just in case, today is Friday. Once again, thank God I'm Friday, May 29th. 2026. And it is, as you can tell by the light on my face, a gorgeous day here at the Beaver Lodge. The sun is actually shining rather intensely right now. I think there's a cloud that just parted, as you can see. So yeah, the sun is shining. We're here for a good time, not a long time. So let's have a good time. The sun can't shine every day. All right. As you can tell, my mental health is better today. How's your mental health doing, kids and cubs? I had a really rough day yesterday. For those of you, I even one of the things I do when I'm feeling a little wound up or frustrated or something is I write. So on my personal Facebook page that I don't necessarily share with everyone. I don't even have it the posts public. It's just literally for my friends, friends, family, and fans. I call them. I write. And I've always done this. I've done this since I was a kid. I've never actually kept a diary. I just write. And it helps me get things out and process stuff. So I did that, and the day was getting progressively heavier and heavier and heavier. And around 4:30, I think I had really, or maybe even before that, had my fill, and I was starting to become a little ornery. But just very, very uh, no energy. It was basically say out of 10, my energy level was 2. Um, and then a series of things happened. One, the person that we had hired to paint could only make it a short day, so they had to leave by 4:30. And then my beaver sweetie had promised a friend that he would help them move. So he was gone at around maybe 5 or so for that, or 4 for that. So all of a sudden, I found myself with in the house alone. And one of the things I had purged or vented about was I just really needed some quiet time alone. Now I'm thinking more like a week somewhere where all I have to do is, and then with the budget to order in or take out for a week. Um, but but all of a sudden I'm alone, and then I was frustrated by the fact that just life has been disrupted, and I'm a planner and I like order. Um, Not to the point of being obsessed or that I can't function without it, but 2 3 weeks is a lot. So things pile up, and we're preparing a camping trip, and it just so happens that with everybody gone, well, then the kitchen is free. So and I like to cook, and so I was able to start pre-prepping some stuff for the trip, right? Whatever I couldn't pre-cook and that type of stuff. So I'm not spending like 3 hours chopping and whatnot, like at the actual campground. I'm just more like assembling, basically doing as much mise en place as I could for the trip, and that made me happy because I'm alone and I'm at home and I'm you know doing things that I like, and it's quiet. I didn't even have like a podcast on or any music on. It was I just needed quiet. And then eventually I started feeling better because I was being productive, and again, had some space to just breathe and not be asked every 10 seconds, or again, 10 seconds is exaggerating, but for my opinion on something, or to drop whatever I was doing to come and take a look at something. And I mean, I swear, um, since we started painting, I get up and down from whatever I am doing at least like 35, 40 times a day, just constantly interrupted, and just can't get a flow going whatsoever. It's, let me put it this way, if that's what living with ADHD is like, I do not like it. And I do not know how people do it. Oh my word. Um, so yeah, but all of that happened, and then the move was fairly quick because the person who asked for help was fairly organized. So it really was just moving the biggest pieces, and and taking the boxes and from one place to another, and unloaded them. And many hands make light work. So my beaver sweetie came home with food. He came home with food after like preparing a whole bunch of food for the trip. I didn't have to prepare yet another meal. He came back with food. That's love. That's love. And not only did he come back with food, but during the day he actually went and got the groceries, because this is the thing, right? With someone here all the time, one of us has to be here all the time as well. So he went and did that. So I had the stuff to prepare. So just all day long. I don't know if he was reading my mind. I don't know if he saw the post when he was moving stuff, or if he just like clued in. But he knew exactly what to do all the way through, and he just did it. And he made the day better. By the time around 9 o'clock had rolled around, or 9 or 10 o'clock in the evening rolled around, well, 9 o'clock rolled around, I had more energy. By the time 10 o'clock had rolled around, I was happy, actually, and I wasn't feeling tired. I didn't feel like I had the whole weight of everything on my shoulders for a bit. I was actually just loose and contracted. Actually laughed a few times. So might be, if I am chipper today, like this, it is almost entirely my beaver sweetie's fault. So send him the love. Now, to my credit, I did try to maintain a positive attitude throughout the entire day, despite uh, feeling put upon. But yesterday was a very rough day. I think you could tell, even with the show. I wasn't as peppy. I wasn't as energetic. The words weren't coming out as easily. I was tripping over my tongue a lot. I was having difficulty, reading without stammering or making mistakes along the way and all that kind of stuff. So, um, hopefully, as a result, a better show today as well. So, thank all of you, of course, for all the kind things you said. I did read the chat stuff after, and once again, you are just amazing, wonderful, the best damn fam in all podcasting. And I say it, I mean it. Uh, so thank you for the gift of you and your caring and your energy and your kindness. All the hugs, all the reminders to myself to be kind to and gentle with myself, to take my own advice. Thank you. Sometimes we're the worst at that. Those of us who give advice, sometimes the worst at taking it. We're following our own. So thank you. And yeah, uh, all of you, again, maybe your sweetie gets most of the credit, but you did help a lot as well. So thank you. All right. We've got a lot to get through today. Hopefully, we'll be able to get through it all. Um, just a metric, like my scientific measurement, a metric shit ton of news to happen. Those of us who were hoping for a slow news day did not get our wish. So, um, very quickly, there is one more MP who is going to be leaving the House of Commons. According to Darren Major, there are now 5 federal by-elections now on the horizon, with another MP making the jump to provincial politics, it would seem. Bloc Québécois MP Simon-Pierre Savard-Tremblay is expected to resign his seat once the House of Commons rises for the summer break. And for those of you who may not be familiar, this is the person in question. There you go. Uh, looking rather dapper, actually, I have to say. Not that this is about, uh, you know, appearances. Well, I mean, I guess in some ways it's about appearances, the show. But, styling. Styling indeed. Okay, why not? I know the damn fam comes here for the glamour. And the fashion tips. Oh my God, sometimes I find myself too amusing. Bloc Québécois MP Simon-Pierre Savard-Tremblay is expected to resign his seat once the House rises for the summer break in order to run in this fall's Quebec provincial election, Radio-Canada has learned. First elected federally in 2019, Savard-Tremblay will be throwing his hat in with the Parti Québécois. An official announcement is expected Friday, sources told Radio-Canada, but Savard-Tremblay is already listed as an independent on the House of Commons website. Savard-Tremblay will join 4 other MPs who are slated to resign at the end of this parliamentary sitting, meaning voters could be looking at 5 by-elections, 3 of which would be in Quebec before the end of the summer. This is very important to note here, by the way, that one of them being a Bloc Québécois MP and one of them being an NDP MP, Alexandre Boulris, who is also leaving to run in provincial politics. You're going to hear a lot of talk because of Stephen Guilbeault's resignation about, well, what's that going to do to the Liberal majority on committees? They're going to have to change all that and all kinds of stuff. Well, no, there's 2 people from other parties also. So it doesn't change the balance. Right. If everybody is considered to be resigned at the end of this sitting, all 4 others, because I believe Wilkinson already has. Jonathan Wilkinson has already resigned his seat to be able to take on the duties, I believe, as the ambassador to the EU, if I'm not mistaken. Right. The difference now is not everybody else stays the same, and liberals are down 3 seats. It's liberals are down 3 seats, and everybody else is down two, which means a net of -1 for the liberals, and well, they have more than one at the moment in terms of the lead. So nothing on the committees is going to need to change. If you hear a lot about that, that's just people again. Um, Hoping that you can't count. They're hoping that math is so hard for you that you can't figure out. Uh, if one party loses, if one party has more than a 1 seat majority and they lose 3 MPs and everybody else loses two, do they still have a majority? Yes. Ex-Environment Minister Stephen Guilbeault announced Wednesday he would be leaving his seat at the end of the sitting, citing concerns about Canada backsliding on climate action. Fellow Liberals Jonathan Wilkinson and Nathaniel Erskine-Smith are also expected to leave their seats this summer. Oh, I guess Mr. Wilkinson hasn't left yet. Prime Minister Mark Carney named Wilkinson as Canada's next ambassador to the European Union, while Erskine-Smith has been exploring a bid for the leadership of the Ontario Liberal Party. Like Savard Tremblay, former NDP MP Alexandre Boulris will be running provincially in Quebec this fall with Quebec Solidaire. Boulris says he is sitting as an independent MP until that election is called. The 5 upcoming by-elections could put Carney's majority in play. Losing 3 Liberal MPs will bring the governing party to 171 seats in the House, just one shy of the majority threshold when all seats are filled. If the Liberals win one of the 5 pending by-elections, they would have a thin majority in which the Speaker would have to be called upon to break a tie vote in the House. 2 wins would give the Liberals enough seat to avoid ties, and 3 would return the party to where it currently stands. However, this also gives the government a chance to expand the majority, because if that NDP seat that Boulris holds in Quebec swings Liberal instead of to another party, well, that adds one to the column if the 3 other Liberal seats are maintained. And of course, if the seat in Laurier-Sainte-Marie happens to go Liberal, which there's a less of a chance of that in because that's like I said, I believe the first MP ever elected for the Bloc Québécois, which I believe was Gilles Duceppe, even though Lucien Bouchard founded the party, was in Laurier-Sainte-Marie. Laurier-Sainte-Marie is literally le bercail, as we say in French, the cradle of the Bloc Québécois. So it is, like I said, Stephen Guilbeault extremely respected and therefore was able to break through. So, I mean, it's not unfathomable that the Liberals would conserve that seat, but it is possible that they also lose it. That is one that is possible for them to lose. But Boulris' seat and again, this seat here that is being vacated by Savard Tremblay, I would have to know where it is, actually. They didn't actually state in the article what riding he represents, at least so far. So we see he represents the riding of Saint-Hyacinthe-Bagotte. Okay, so that is possible. It's Saint-Hyacinthe is not that far from Montreal. I'm just going to look it up. Look it up here. Saint. There we go. Yeah, see, it's just 65.5 kilometers towards the east of Montreal. That is that's one of the areas in the province that can it's close enough to the urban center that it could flip back and forth, even though it is rather reliably Bloc, I would say. Let's see if I can pick up the voting record for it. There's the riot. So it's all okay. Actually, I was mistaken. It's Saint-Hyacinthe-Bagotte Acton, formerly Saint-Hyacinthe-Bagotte. So it's the name of the riding or the electoral district been updated. Looking back electorally, so yes. Oh, okay. So this is before there was a Bloc Québécois, it was relatively uh, progressive conservative, 84 and 88, and then went Bloc in 1993, and has been Bloc ever since, except for when the NDP had the Orange Crush uh, wave. Uh, then there was somebody named Marie-Claude Morin who won it, and won rather substantially, actually 52.4% to 24.6. So, and then in the following election, was maintained with another to the New Democrats with another. Candidate. So when Tom Mulcair came in, we had Brigitte Sansouny, not as large a victory, 28.7% to 27.6% for the Liberal, and the Bloc Québécois candidate came in at 24.3 at that time. So this is usually a pretty reliably Bloc Québécois riding, and it has been since then. Afterwards, with a but it can. And in the 2025 election, um, Savard Tremblay won it by just over 10% then. Now, things have changed. The Liberals are a little more popular in the province of Quebec at the moment. So again, and the so that is possible that it could be in play, given that it is writing that has at times, at strategic times, uh, uh, been able to swing. Taking a look at, let's see. Oh no, well that's wrong. That's the provincial ones. I don't want the provincial ones. I want the federal ones. I'm looking at trying to see if I can find the actual 338 number and to see where things are standing. And that way, oh, there's an interval error today, so I'm not sure I will be able to get that information. Yeah, so the information is not available today, unless I can. Maybe there's another way. Hold on. There we go. So I'm guessing that these are an geographic order as well. So go on the list. Saint-Hyacinthe, Bagot, Acton. Okay. Well, it says Bloc Québécois leaning. Right now, most. What do we have here? Oh, well, that's more than. Yeah. Right now, they're showing that if there was an election, the projected vote shows Bloc Québécois 42, Liberals 36, but with a plus minus of 7. So you know the gap is 6. So technically, this is saying that there is a liberal chance, in other words. So there you go. There could be the possibility of a clean sweep in this case. And currently, polling seems to be indicating that Mark Carney is doing very well. I've seen some polling indicating that the Liberals currently are at close to record highs in certain polls. No, well, record highs, not seen for a quite long time anyway. So if this sitting ends relatively well, if they're able to get a couple of bills passed, particularly a few of the crime ones, and then go do the summer circuit. And they have these by-elections in the summer before the House returns. There is a very good chance of a sweep here. Well, no, I won't say a good chance, but definitely a more than just non-zero chance. And if not a sweep, a solid chance at 4 of them. So possibly even expanding the majority a little bit here. What else does it say here in the article? If there's anything, it says here, The summer break gives Carney some cushion to play with in terms of by-election time. MPs are expected to leave Ottawa around the middle of June and won't be back until September 21st. There is some talk uh, about perhaps the session of Parliament being extended to get some of these bills through. The Senate would probably stay on. The Senate usually stays on for an extra week or so. And committees can meet because the Parliament is not prorogued. It's just the sitting is just not taking place over the summer. It's a break. So committees can still meet. And that's why the whole committee question was, people are talking about, well, gee, will we have to rejig the committees over the course of the summer? Clearly not. But this here definitely gives him some cushion time. It says once an MP officially resigns, the Speaker has to inform the Chief Electoral Officer of the vacancy, at which point the government would have 11 to 180 days to call a by-election. The 11 days are mandated by law because those are the minimum amount of days that Elections Canada needs to prepare something for a by-election to be held in the first place. By-elections campaigns last at least 36 days, and there's also a process once the ballots are counted before an MP can claim their seat. Last summer, former MP Damien Couric officially stepped down in mid-June to allow Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre to run in his riding. That by-election was held in August, and Poilievre was able to take his seat on the opening day of the fall sitting. The Quebec provincial election is set to take place on October 5th unless Premier Christine Fréchette makes an early election call. Going to be interesting to have Québécois potentially going to the polls at least in two electoral districts twice in the space of maybe 3 or 4 months. Interesting. So there we go. One fewer MP. And again, someone going off to pastures that they believe might be greener. I'm not sure. Interesting that there is also no quote in that article stating something about why it is he would want to leave. So I am going to look at a article in French because maybe there is something there with it. So he is a teacher and an essayist of Huron-Wendat origin, actually, so indigenous as well. So, oh darn, we're losing an indigenous AP. I'm not happy about that. Even though he's with the bloc, it's like, oh, we need more indigenous voices, not few. Not that he's leaving politics, but you know what I mean. And he goes, let's see. Someone from the entourage of the head of the PQ says it's a way to show that our links, our bonds are strong. There you go. So yeah, it doesn't seem to be anything from him. Just let's see. Yeah, and then so there's comments about Yves-François Blanchet. Yeah, well, yeah, actually, Yves-François Blanchet kind of matters. It says here that, let's see, taking a look here. I have to translate because this is in French here. The leader of the Bloc declared last September on the sides of a meeting of his caucus that he would never prevent anyone from his team to make the leap to provincial politics, affirming that each should determine where they feel more useful to make sovereignty happen. Quote, that ranges from somebody that says right away, I am going to put up signs over the next campaign, to someone that says, I want to be a candidate in the next campaign of the Parti Québécois. It belongs to each one, said Yves-François Blanchet. According to their sources, the journalist sources, the leader of the Bloc Québécois reiterated this message to his caucus over the last few months, specifying that he would still, however, like to be informed of their intentions so that he does not learn about them through the media. His message appears to have been heard. It seems that Savat Tremblay did confide to him a few weeks ago his desire to make the leap to provincial politics. So that makes um, the Bloc Québécois a little less strong. It had 33 seats at dissolution of the last parliament, elected 22 in the federal election, and now they're down to 21. So there you have it. And that is the main thing about that. So one another MP making the leap to provincial politics. Um, let's see what else we have for you today. Just got to go take a look at the episode description because I got a lot of stuff for you. Let's see. Okay. Yes. The other thing is there was some events in Romania. And I'm not just saying this because my sweetie is Romanian, because this is a significant issue. If you remember, there was a time earlier in all of these, what was going on with Ukraine, I believe, where Russia, uh, there was a plane from Russia that entered Turkish territory, and the Turks, or enters Turkish airspace, and the Turks shot it down. November 24th, 2015, Turkish F-16 fighter jets shot down a Russian Su-24 warplane near the Syrian-Turkish border. Turkey stated the aircraft violated its airspace despite repeated warnings. Russia claimed the jet remained in Syrian airspace, calling the incident a stab in the back. But Russia didn't really do anything after that. Right? There was a diplomatic crisis between Turkey and Russia. Russia suspended military cooperation, banned some charter flights, imposed significant trade and agriculture sanctions. But the tensions slowly de-escalated after Turkish President Erdogan sent a letter of apology in mid-2016, and then trade was normalized. If all it takes is sending a letter of apology, uh, whether he meant it or not, it's like, you entered our airspace, we shot you down. Don't do that again. And Russia hasn't tried that again, at least in Turkey. There were other incidents, some involving Poland at one point, where a lot of people were wondering. But yesterday in Romania, there is people are saying at first was that Romania was somewhat attacked. Not sure if it was necessarily an attack, but no doubt that perhaps there was it could have been probing to see just what we will do, especially after Donald Trump has moved some troops. Remember, he got in a snit with Germany and said, "Well, I'm going to remove some troops." It seems that was some of them may have been redeployed in certain places, and he didn't remove enough for there to actually be any significant threat. And apparently, it even seems that the troops that he moved, that was something that was a schedule moved that was going to take place anyway, and he just put that frame on it, it would appear. But according to Thomson Reuters, it says that Romania said Friday that a drone injured two people in the southeastern city of Galați. Galați? That's how my sweetie, Galați. No, sorry, Galați. Yes, that's I practiced it with my baby sweetie, Galați. During an overnight Russian attack on neighboring Ukraine, the first time in the war that a drone had hit a densely populated area in the NATO and EU member caused injuries. The incident was likely to increase tensions on NATO's eastern flank at a time when Ukraine's allies are worried about Russia's war on its neighbors spilling over its borders. The drone hit the roof of a 10-story apartment block in Galați and caused an explosion, the Romanian authorities said. Initial information indicates that the entire load of the I'm going to guess it's Garin 2 drone of Russian origin exploded upon impact, the defense ministry said in a statement. The incident led to widespread condemnation across the continent. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte said the alliance stands ready to defend every inch of its territory. Quote, Russia's reckless behavior is a danger to us all, Rutte said in a post on X. Last night showed again that the implications of their illegal war of aggression don't stop at the border. We will continue to strengthen our deterrence and defense at home and continue our support for Ukraine as they defend against Russia's aggression. Ukraine Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha said the strengthening Ukraine's air defense was a strategic task to protect not only Ukraine, but also to reduce risks for neighboring countries. Quote, Ukraine stands firmly by Romania. We are ready to work closely together to strengthen protection from such threats, Sybiha said on X. And for those of you who may not be as familiar with the territory, Romania is actually not that far from Ukraine. It's only 932 kilometers. There's no, I mean it could be a little shorter than that because that's like a point in Romania to a certain point in Ukraine. But actually, let me put it this way: Romania actually, if I'm not mistaken here, uh, shares a border with Ukraine. So let me just put that up there for you. Perhaps there you go. Hopefully you can see it. So there you go, kits and cubs here. You have Romania, Moldova, which is the small nation that has the Transnistria, this little strip here, which is part of Moldova, but that extremely pro-Russian. Let's put it that way, and there's a lot of interference there. But I read a little bit about it. It also seems to be a little bit stuck in time, back in the time before a little bit. And Moldova, if I'm not mistaken, is the poorest country in Europe, and not yet a member or a full member of the EU yet, trying to gain its accession. Has a very strong. I'm not sure if both the president and the prime minister are still women, but very recently they were. I know that the leader is, um, and very firm, very strong. Um, they seem to be providing relative some good government there. But yes, this is and Galatz, I think, is relatively close to the border. This map doesn't show it here, but my beaver sweetie was looking it up yesterday to want to see how close Galatz is to Ukraine itself. Let's see, Galatz to Ukraine. Again, it's giving me to a spot in Ukraine. Let's say to the Ukraine border. So you got to be. So Galatz, Romania, is situated only 10 kilometers from the tri-point border shared by Romania, Moldova, and Ukraine. Ah, okay. So in the map that I was showing you here, just a couple of seconds ago, not sure if it's there. It's still up there. So the tri-point. So where all three of them connect. So it's probably really close to about here in Romania. Of course, when stuff like that happens, my guess would be is that the immediate Russian thing would be, oh, no, we didn't intend to hit Galatz. That was something that was intended for somewhere in Ukraine, and it just went a little bit awry. We didn't mean that. Do you believe us? Huh? So, um, probably going to have the plausibility. It was just shrapnel. It was something that went errant or something, right? Matthew Whitaker, the U.S. ambassador to NATO, said, "Our thoughts are with the injured in Galatz, and we will defend every inch of NATO territory." A lot of people are seeing that comment and are not convinced. Let's just put it that way. Romania, which shares a 650-kilometer land border with Ukraine, has had Russian drones in its airspace 28 times since Moscow began attacking Kyiv's ports across the Danube River, Romania's defense ministry said. Romanian Foreign Minister Oana Toiu called the latest incursion, quote, a serious violation of international law, and said that Bucharest had requested measures to accelerate the transfer of anti-drone capabilities to Romania. She said the Russian ambassador had been summoned to the foreign ministry. European Commissioner head Ursula von der Leyen said Russia had crossed yet another line. There was no immediate comment from Moscow. Ukrainian drones have strayed into Baltic countries' airspace in recent weeks, sowing confusion and raising tensions with Russia. Romania said it scrambled 2 F-16 fighter jets and military helicopter to monitor the attack, adding the pilots were authorized to shoot down any drones. The residents of the border counties, Braila, Galați, and Tulcea, were warned to take cover, or maybe Tulcea. Romanian Brigadier General Jorge Maxim told a news conference that the drone was in Romania's airspace for 4 minutes, flying low, making it difficult for radar to detect. He said the U.S. anti-drone system Merops was operational in Romania, but would have been too risky to use in a city. In Friday's incident, a fire broke out on a 10th floor apartment after the drone struck the building's roof and exploded. Romania's emergency response agency said 2 people received medical treatment on the site, it said, and 70 people had evacuated. State news agency Press cited Galatz's emergency response agency as saying a woman and her child had been taken to the hospital with minor injuries. I'm going to see here if I have a little bit of a visual for you, kits and cubs, of what happened. Because I did see something yesterday on that. All right, it doesn't appear to be obviously there. Let's try one more spot. All right, I believe it is on the show account, if I'm not mistaken. All right. There it is. No. Okay, so it's just an image. It's not video. But here I have it for you, kits and cubs. So I'm just going to put it up. Sorry, this is taking a bit longer than I would like to. There we go. And that should be right there, pulling me away from my screen. For that. And of course, it didn't show it, right? Of course, it didn't. Let's try. There you go. So that's because you can see up here the flames. So yeah, a lot of people wondering what the hell. I don't know what that specifically means. What will happen? Is this something that once again NATO will consider not worth jumping into, or will it generate a response? I believe Ursula von der Leyen did go on the record stating that everybody is considering what will be the 21st package of sanctions that will hit Russia as a result of this. So they're trying to determine that. Deputy Interior Minister Raed Arafat, who's in charge of the Emergency Response Agency, told private broadcaster DG24 the drone affected 2 building stairwells and damaged 5 cars. In a separate incident, a drone without an explosive charge was found around Bașești in Maramureș County in northwestern Romania, and the area was secured, state TVR broadcaster said late on Thursday, citing local authorities. The authorities were investigating the origin of the drone, which the report said had a wingspan of about 3 meters, and how it happened to be in the area, TVR added. Galatz was last hit in April when a drone damaged an electricity pole and household annex, prompting evacuations. Officials retrieved that drone to detonate its unexploded payload remotely. Wow. And here, there we go. There's another image here from the scene. I'm guessing that this is later in the day. Because it seems, or earlier, like the next day, well, in the morning of the next day, because the strike was at night. So here, so you go, and that is. Take a look here. Come on, there you go. Thank you. Bring me back. There we go. And that's an image from an Anadolu via Getty Images there for the photo credit on that one. And I believe the first department was the first image was from the Romanian Department for Emergency Situations and Reuters. So yeah, I don't know what type of response there will be, whether or not this will, other than a package of sanctions, at some point, somebody's going to have to make a decision that puts Putin somewhat in his place. Not sure exactly when that's going to happen. If you've been following the news, there have been various stories of Putin seeming to be spending more time in a bunker, seeming to be more paranoid about what might be happening. The financial strain on the country is starting to show. A lot later than we had hoped for with the sanctions, but it is getting there. It seems that a lot of the classes that started to support Putin, that were supporting Putin, are starting to talk against him a little bit more. There's a lot of people that are coming back from the battlefronts, and they are causing crime when they come back, or lots of domestic violence issues when they're coming back, and that is starting to percolate through the population. And even Putin's chatter of late seems to there seems to have been some indications every now and then that he's talked about maybe this maybe being near the end of what it is, versus the we are not done yet, and we will not stop until all our war objectives have been met. It seems that that line is changing. So maybe he knows that he knows now that it is not going to happen for him. Even there are some indications that that Ukraine may have, again, small amounts, but may have been gaining a little bit of ground again. So hopefully, because I was chatting with her a little bit this morning, we will be able to have Olga Nestorova from the Honest News Network return to the show and give us a little update about what's going on there, how Europe is adjusting on its own, maybe touch on Iran a little bit. What all of that means. It would be really lovely to have her back. I know that you enjoy her, and with her first visit here was absolutely delightful. So we are working at bringing her back. All right. Let's see, what else do we have for you, kits and cubs? Once again, need to go to the episode description to see what we have. Oh, yes. Tonight, kids and cubs, 8 p.m. We need to get our Habs on, man. We need to get our Habs on. This is it. We're at the brink here. Down 3-1 against the Carolina Hurricanes, who hadn't once the Montreal Canadiens in the regular season. So this is it. Montreal Canadiens haven't been shooting the puck at net for some reason. Very much the past few games. But perhaps they might get a little inspiration this evening because, according to the Canadian press, former NHL player Claude Lemieux, who is a four-time Stanley Cup champion and once one of the NHL's most infamous antagonists, and this is according, yeah, like I said, to the Canadian press, has died at the age of 60. The Palm Beach County Sheriff Office said Thursday that deputies responded shortly after 3 a.m. Oh no. Oh, I did not know this part. It would appear that he might have. I have to give a trigger warning here. Um, he may have taken his own life here. I'm. Oh, this is. Oh, this is way worse. See, I had just heard that he had died. I did not know. Oh, this is way darker. Okay, this is not definitely not about. This is not definitely not something from which they are going to be able to take some inspiration. Oh boy. Um, Deputies responded shortly after 3 a.m. to an apparent suicide at a furniture showroom in Lake Park, Florida. The sheriff's office said Lemieux oh my God, was found by his son in the rear warehouse after not returning home. Oh my word. Lemieux co-owned the high-end furniture store with his wife, Deborah. The NHL Alumni Association announced Lemieux's death in a social media post. Born in Buckingham, Quebec, Lemieux broke into the NHL with the Montreal Canadiens in 1983 and helped the club win the Stanley Cup in 1986. The gritty winger later captured the championship with the New Jersey Devils in 95 and 2000 and the Colorado Avalanche in 1996. Lemieux won the Conn Smythe Trophy as playoff MVP in 1995 after recording 13 goals in 20 postseason games for New Jersey. In the 2025 Crave series Toujours Canadien, Lemieux reflected on what he hoped for his four children when asked about life beyond hockey. Quote, happiness. Being happy is not about winning the Stanley Cup or money. Being happy is to be comfortable in your own skin, to have a good partner, to be there for your kids, he said. I'm a grandfather now, so that's something I wish for them too. He was honored at Montreal Bell Center on Monday, carrying a ceremonial torch onto the ice before the Canadiens' Game 3 playoff matchup against the Carolina Hurricanes. The Canadiens, oh my God. Canadiens said Thursday that the entire Canadiens organization is saddened to learn of the passing of Claude Lemieux. Today is a dark day for the Canadiens family and the entire hockey community, Canadiens owner and CEO Jeff Molson said in a statement. I wish to express my most sincere and deepest condolences to Claude's family and loved ones. Molson described Lemieux as a fierce competitor who consistently delivered in big moments and said, quote, he embodied the very essence of being a Montreal Canadiens player. He did. I grew up watching him. Montreal head coach Martin St-Louis opened his media availability at the team's hotel in Raleigh, North Carolina, ahead of Friday's Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Final by sending his sincere sympathies to the whole Lemieux family. St-Louis watched Lemieux help the Canadiens win the Cup in 1986 as a fan and then competed against him in the NHL. Hard-nosed player, St-Louis said. You had to fight for every inch on the ice with him. He competed hard. He always towed the line. He was a hard player to play against. Montreal defenseman Alexandre Carrier played with Lemieux's son Brendan for Canada at the under-18 level back in 2013. It's a sad day for the organization, for the family, he said. Alumni from Montreal won a cup here. Sad day. The San Jose Sharks said on X that the entire Sharks organization is saddened to learn of the passing of Sharks alum and NHL legend Claude Lemieux. Lemieux finished his career with San Jose after coming out of a 5.5-year retirement at age 43 during the 2008-9 season. He had 1 assist in 18 games before retiring for good in July 2009. In a statement, NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman called Lemieux one of the greatest big-game players in hockey history, a reputation reflected in his playoff scoring totals. His 80 career playoff goals ranked 9th in the league's history, sandwiched between Habs legends Jean Béliveau at 79 and Maurice Rocket Richard at 82. Along with stepping up his game in the playoffs, he was also known for playing close to the edge and sometimes crossing it. In the 1986 Stanley Cup final, Lemieux bit Calgary Flames winger Jeff Poplinski's finger as they tussled in a brawl following the fourth game. Quote, I didn't know they allowed cannibalism in the NHL, Poplinski quipped after the game. 10 years later, Lemieux once again made headlines while playing for Colorado when he rammed Detroit Red Wings forward Chris Draper into the boards from behind in Game 6 of the Western Conference Final. Draper sustained a broken jaw, cheek, and orbital bone, while Lemieux escaped serious discipline when he was suspended by the NHL for 2 games. The Avalanche went on to sweep Florida in the Cup final, with Lemieux returning from suspension to score the first goal in Game 3. Lemieux's bite came back up again in 2021 when Brendan Lemieux, then a forward with the Los Angeles King, was suspended 5 games for biting Ottawa Senators captain Brady Tkachuk during games in 2021. Jeez. Drafted by Montreal in the second season in 1983, Lemieux recorded 97 goals and 92 assists in 281 regular season games with the Canadiens. He had 23 goals and 20 assists in 77 playoff games and won the Stanley Cup as a rookie in 86. Former Canadiens teammate Chris Nyland said he was stunned by the news, recalling he had just seen Lemieux before Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Final at the Bell Centre. He looked great. He seemed great, Nyland said Thursday on Montreal 690 radio. Nyland called Lemieux an incredible playoff performer, a great teammate, tough as nails. I'm totally shocked, he added. You never know when you're going to see someone for the last time. I'm glad I at least got to look him in the eye and tell him what I thought of him. Darren McCarty, a truculent member of the Red Wings who had multiple fights with Lemieux, posted a broken heart emoji on social media and heard the news from Draper. McCarty said Lemieux, the person, was totally different than the player, and the two later met for an interview with smiles about their clashes. Sad day, another brother gone, McCarty said in a video message posted to YouTube. If you're struggling out there, no matter what, just reach out for some help. It can never be that bad. It's a sad day, no matter what. Rest in peace, Claude. Lemieux finished his NHL career with 379 goals, 407 assists, and 1,777 penalty minutes in 1,215 regular season games with Montreal, New Jersey, Colorado, Phoenix, Dallas, and San Jose. He also represented Canada internationally, winning gold at the 1985 World Junior Championships and the 1987 Canada Cup. Oh, my word. And as always, kids and cubs, if you are struggling and you need help, or you know someone who needs help, the 988 Suicide Crisis Helpline in Canada is available in English and French 24/7 if you just call 988 or text 988. And if you are in the province of Quebec, Quebec Suicide Prevention Services, also in English and French 24 hours a day, 1-866-277-3553 or text 535353. Wow. And also for youth and young adults, toll free 1-800-668-6868 or text the word connect to 686868, and that's 24/7 as well. For Canadians 5 to 29 who want confidential and anonymous help, that's the Kids Help phone. And for First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people, there's the Hope for Wellness helpline, also toll free 1-855-242-3310. That's also available 24/7. To First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples seeking emotional support, crisis intervention, or referrals to community-based services. Support is available in English and French and by request in Cree, Ojibwe, and Inuktitut. Oh man, that is not where I thought that was going to go. And again, kits and cubs, at the risk of seeming shameless, the mental health walk, June 20th, will be the third time we encourage people to, on Father's Day weekend, pick up the phone, particularly if you are male identifying, and call one of your mates and ask them to go take a walk, either because you need to chat or you're worried about someone and you would like them to open up. But men do not talk enough about their mental health, and there's way too many of them that suffer in silence. A lot of people are raised to believe that having feelings and emotions is not masculine, it's not manly. Nothing could be further from the truth. Before we are a man, before we are a woman, or however we identify, we are humans. And humans have feelings, and humans have emotions. It's it's the things that let you know that you're alive. And they're about the only things they're one of the few things that you own outright. So they're yours to have, but they can get much at times, and they can be overwhelming. So it is not in any way a sign of weakness or lack of masculinity that there may become a time where feelings are overwhelming and might be too big just for one person to manage or handle. Is always reach out to talk to someone. Always. And if someone reaches out to you, please, please grab the hand. Right? There's always a reason to stay. There's always a reason to stay. Right? Only you can be you, and only you can bring the gifts to the world that you've got. No matter how dark it is, there's always a purpose. There's always a reason to stay. Somebody needs you. The world needs you. You're a gift. The very fact that you were created, you are a gift to the planet, to the world, to history. There's always a reason to stay. Sometimes it's hard to feel like a gift. I get it. Trust me. But you are a gift. You have value. You have worth. All right? Yeah, Kat. Don't take a permanent option to a temporary problem. Kitnona Carol. Don't let go. Never give up. Man. Oh, I like to hear that, Tim. I don't like to hear that you're a wreck, but I like to hear that you told a friend and that someone is standing by you. Friends in need are friends indeed. Yeah. Oh, man. So, yeah. Okay. Darn. Oh, okay. Note to myself. Note to self. Always read the full story. Don't just take the headline. Read the full story first. Because yeah, that did not take the turn. That's not where I was going to take. That story. When I first when I knew just the headline. Wow, boy, um, don't I feel awkward? I don't know how to segue out of this one. Uh, I messed up. So yeah, because had I known before, I would have been able to give a trigger warning more than 3 seconds before announcing the news. Apologies on my part for that. Yeah, I don't know how to segue out of that gracefully. So here we go ungracefully. Whatever dismay Canadians may have felt by having Canada's national team, at least for the Stanley Cup playoffs, go down 3-1, especially after two very hard-fought overtime wins. It could very easily be 3-1 the other way right now. The other team, Canada, competing at the IIHF, the International Ice Hockey Federation Championships, uh, gave us a little bomb, a little salve by defeating the United States 4-0, which ironically is the same score by which Carolina won Game 4. But 4-0 win for Team Canada against US at the Ice Hockey World Championships. We had goals by Holloway, Martoni, White Cloud, and Wotherspoon. No, those were goals by Celebrini, Holloway, Brown, and Crosby. Well, there, Holloway gets mentioned both times. Brown and Crosby both into an empty net at the end of the third period. I guess when the USA decided to risk it to try to get the biscuit. So there you go, 4-0 win against the United States. That will clearly be extremely satisfying. It's almost like well, now it doesn't matter whether or not we win or not. We took care of the United States. We're good. But no, let's keep going all the way. And next match will be Saturday, 2 p.m. Canada versus Finland in the semifinal, whereas Switzerland takes on Norway. Canada had its hands full with Norway in the round robin, needing overtime for a 6-5 win. So kind of interesting. Used to seeing in the Final Four, but there you go. Norway becoming a big deal. All right. I think now we have got through the smaller stuff that we can get to the main story of the day. And that is the Prime Minister having chatted, as we told you, he was on his way to New York to do some selling of Canada to investors and tradespeople and all that kind of stuff. The thing that he's been doing pretty much since he's been elected and taken on the role of Prime Minister as an elected MP. I always have to specify that because he became Prime Minister before he was elected by winning the Liberal leadership. So I can't say necessarily since he was elected. Since he became Prime Minister. It has to be since he was elected. He went to the Economic Club of New York, where he's spoken before, clearly, as someone with his background. And delivered the basic sales, well, not the basic sales, well, I guess, yeah, you could say the basic sales pitch, but of course, tailored, right? To the audience, which has some people wagging their got some tongues wagging because the Prime Minister, well, as most people do actually, when you speak to different audiences, you tailor your message. Althea Raj in the at issue panel yesterday was kind of indicating that there was a certain elasticity in the Prime Minister's message, depending where you go. A lot of people, I'm not sure how true elasticity is, but I mean, he is a self-described pragmatist, and he is also a risk manager by trade. But he made some comments, all the ones that we would expect, and then one that caught a lot of attention. And a lot of people have been interpreting it in various ways. I'm going to look here to see. Let's just start with the quote itself, because there's no way to talk about it without mentioning it. And we should probably have it first if we can. And let's see. if I can get it here. Um, might not be able to find it as easily as I thought I could. There we go. Thank goodness for Scott Robertson. That's all I will say. Because if you're looking for just little clips of quotes, the way he does what he does makes them really easy to find. When I'm looking through a whole thing and grabbing a timestamp, that's a whole other thing. That's me. But when I just need a quick quip like this, uh, it is really nice to have Scott Robertson because it makes my life and makes a lot of people's lives easier. So here's Prime Minister delivering the line that has everybody talking today.
At a time of a global energy crisis, Canada provides the United States with reliable power, with critical minerals that help fuel American growth. 99% of U.S. natural gas imports, 85% of electricity imports, 60% of crude oil imports. That is mutual strength. Let's be absolutely clear. Canada Strong will help make America great again. The examples of where that's true are legion, where we should work together and compete with the world together. At a time.
So, a lot of people heard that quote. And then Emil went to the elbows down side, right? A lot of people heard that quote and thought, like, why the hell would you ever say include make America great again, right? At all in that, because just saying those words, that's going to get picked up and it's going to open the door to everybody projecting onto the words you said what it is they need you to have intended or said on that for what they are going to do next to work. Um, a lot of people are thinking, well, wait a minute, you said that Canada needs to be independent and resilient and all that kind of stuff, and now you're going in and saying, talking about like a some North American fortress, a bit like Doug Ford, and talking about like, hey, we're going to help you make America make America great again. It's like, well, what's this? It's like, are we going? These concepts are not incompatible, right? Because if you listen to that sentence and you focus on the make America great again part, you can understand how people could hear this. Hey, America, here we are. If you guys want to be great again, you guys want to do make America great again and all the stuff that you've done and all the things that you've done to us, we're here to help you with that. Why would anybody ever say that? When you hear that, the word strong in that sentence disappears. Canada will make America great again is different than Canada strong will make America great again. Canada strong is the Canadian brand that Mark Carney is selling to us, right? And a bit to the world. But to us, when he's talking to us, diversifying away, making sure that we can export more of our things, making sure that we are our own best client, trading more internationally, assuring that we have a sovereign cloud. All these types of things that he's working on. The whole process of doing that, Canada strong, will make America great again. So this is not we're abandoning everything that we said and we're abandoning all our positions. This is just like you guys said, hey, don't retaliate, don't panic, just let us do what we'll do. You will see later on that this is going to be good for you. we're doing the same thing. We're basically taking their rhetoric and smacking it back at them. Say, hey, America, chill, calm down, don't need to worry. Hey, we had a meeting with China. Don't panic. I have a meeting with India. Don't panic. The Germans want to buy our LNG. Don't panic. We're going with the Saab with Global Eye. Don't panic. We may not be going with you for the F-35s. Don't panic. Your alcohol is still not on our shelves, except for in Alberta and Saskatchewan, for what good it gave them. Don't panic. We won't be spending 70 cents of every defense dollar in the United States anymore, but don't panic. The CRTC just recommended tripling what we ask from streamers to contribute to CanCon, but don't panic. We're looking at a sovereign cloud so that none of our stuff needs to be on US servers anymore, but don't panic. India currently has the biggest trade delegation it has ever sent. Well, not currently now, they've gone home now, but recently had the biggest trade delegation it has ever sent to Canada, ever, to any place, and it didn't go to the United States. It came to Canada, and we're going to look at maybe having the broad outlines or maybe even the terms of a free trade agreement struck by the end of the year. But and it's the world's most populous country and young demographic and the third greatest economic power. But don't panic. Because us doing what we do, right? You guys changed the entire game. You decided that you were going to change all of your trading relationships with people, as is your right. Well, we're changing what we do too, as is our right. But like you tell us, don't panic. Because us doing what's good for us is going to also be good for you, just like you telling us that you doing what's good for you is going to be good for us. Except we're doing it with all that annexation talk, all that without all that very needlessly threatening imperialistic talk, without holding meetings with wannabe separatists and suggesting perhaps whatever it is that you're suggesting, but they seem to believe that they might have your military support and perhaps a $500 billion line of credit and maybe international recognition if they decide to declare themselves, unilaterally declare themselves separate. But don't worry. The process of Canada strengthening itself, becoming more autonomous, less reliant, is ultimately going to also be good for the United States. That was the sales pitch. Because the Prime Minister in that room, even though he is addressing the entire room and he is trying to drum up business, and make no doubt about that, he's trying to drum up business. He also knows he's in the United States, he's in New York. He also knows he's addressing an audience of one. Right? The president appears to like the prime minister. The president appears to admire the prime minister. The president loves celebrity. Our prime minister is the biggest global banking celebrity. The president particularly likes bankers. And it would appear that the president, for all his bluster, when respects more than other things, not always, but seems to respect more than other things, a polite yet firm no. You're going to have to come to the table and make all these surrenders and concessions first. And, we hear the call. We put it on mute for a second. We laugh in Canadian. We take it off mute. It's like, no, we're sorry. That will not work for us. And and that's it. We don't explain. We don't rationalize. We don't pay. I'm sorry, that's not going to work for us. But we are still at the table. And when you are ready to be serious and want to talk to us again, we'll still be here. But so long as you keep coming up to us with the stuff like this, I'm sorry, that's not going to work for us. Come back when, come back when you need us. Meanwhile, we'll be doing our own thing. And well, there is no one in the world more sad than a neglected attention junkie. I'm going to use the word junkie here because the other word is sometimes one that people abhor using. um, so yeah, is there elasticity? Perhaps, who knows? But what there is, from what I can tell, is code switching. You're going to the United States, there are plenty of Republicans, there are plenty of Trumpians, and of course there is Trump and his whole entire administration. Why not reframe everything that he is saying here in a language that they can understand over there? A strong Canada, a more independent Canada, a more autonomous Canada, a Canada that is better connected to the rest of the world, a Canada that does a bit more of its own stuff for itself, is actually good for you too. It's not something to fear. It can be a good thing. Now, again, and the prime minister's not wrong. That it can be a good thing for them if the United States, of course, the unspoken part there is if you come correct. There's actually no need for you to be repeatedly and needlessly provoking us and attacking us and trying to cut us off at the knees. That doesn't help you. I mean, as you have been, you guys can read your own data here. Alcohol sales, tourism, and not just from Canada, right? Other countries are starting to pick up our lead. They're upset with us and they're upset with China because we were the only two that stood up and put up some counter retaliatory tariffs at first. We're also the United States' two biggest trading partners. We are the two countries that do have the most leverage. It's not coincidental. Um, now, China has much more leverage than we do in certain areas, but we got plenty of leverage of our own when the prime minister's rattling off all that stuff, right? 60% of your bitumen and all those other things that he's mentioned. That's all the stuff that the president of the United States says that he doesn't need. The people in that room, however, know better, right? How well does the economy, United States economy, do without all the electricity that goes to the eastern seaboard? How well does the economy do without none of our bitumen? How does the U.S. economy do with none of our potash? Now that there is much less aluminium coming out of the area where everything is happening because the Strait of Hormuz is blocked, all of a sudden Canadian aluminium looks a whole lot better, doesn't it? Especially, since a lot of it's produced in Quebec, where there's a lot of hydroelectricity, and well, it's a very electricity-intensive process, so that makes it way less expensive than stuff that's produced elsewhere. And we're just next door, and you've kind of spent buku billions on defense and need to replenish some stuff, and you're probably going to need a lot of that aluminium. Sure, we got nothing you don't need. So, to me, that's what I heard. I heard a man go in, know exactly who his audience was, know that he's speaking to many audiences as well, because we're hearing him back home. All the nations that he's trying to coalesce together for some with similar values and interests, where certain among them, giving different topics, can engage in some asymmetrical geometry, as he calls it. um, they're listening. Clearly, Donald Trump and his administration specifically are listening, and then the business community in the United States are listening. And of course, when you're making that case, and when it's Mark Carney speaking, you know that you've got the business community from all around the world also listening. But Mark Carney is kind of showing a template here. It's like it's a bit of a reframing of the game if this discussion from the United States wants to impose is on antagonistic, right? You must lose so that I can win, which is the Donald Trump attitude. Reframing, especially as we're going into Kuzma. It's like, no, we do not need to come to the table pre-acquiescing to a bunch of your concessions, after which you're and getting nothing in exchange for it, after which you're going for more concessions, and probably just days before we are going to sign on the dotted line, you're going to turn around again and say, yeah, you know what? There's one more thing. Like Donald Trump usually does. And then, 30 days after we sign it, you're violating the deal, and then slapping more tariffs on it. Well, like, we know what's going to happen. So there's no way that you're going to get some concessions for us before, just to get the right to sit at the table. Because the undercurrent of all of this is that the United States' signature on a document means diddly squat. Something Donald Trump has in common with Danielle Smith. Sorry, hadn't mentioned her yet. So, the Prime Minister made the case for Canada. There was a Q&A after that. Hopefully, because I believe I have to do a pre-record for Monday, I will be able to use some of that for that. But it's you got the Pierre Polievs of the world, right? When the Prime Minister went off on this trip. So there's the Prime Minister off on another trip. Um, to put out one of our what he thinks is our best and our biggest exports, or something like that, speeches. Well, Pierre Poliev, again, you may have thought that was a clever line again, but when you say that, you bring back attention to Mark Carney delivering that Davos speech, the speech heard around the world. The speech will probably go down as one of the most important, that's already going down as one of the most important speeches made this decade, which showed that Canada is a serious player on the world stage. If you want to keep on drawing Canadians' attention back to that wonderful day for the Prime Minister, go ahead. And when the speech you're referring to, when you're mocking and say he's only offering speeches, happens to be the speech that's going to go down probably as the most memorable one of the decade, then again, that's just as dumb as saying Mark Carney is poorly educated on economics. Because if speeches like that become some of our biggest exports, it looks like speeches like that are getting us invited to a lot of tables so that we could sign a lot of deals. I'm not sure that criticizing the effectiveness of these speeches might be your best avenue, but hey, when you got nothing, and when you're running around the country still claiming, well, let's cut another tax. Yes, because, when you're a simpleton with simple solutions for simple people, and have no thoughts of your own, can't pivot, no originality, well, everything is a tax now, isn't it? And all you got to do is cut it. Solution to everything. Pierre thought he was being clever this week as well, chatting around and making some statements, thinking that the Prime Minister needs a geography lesson, it would appear, because, again, he's off traveling. Yeah. A geography lesson for you, Pierre. Find Battle River Crowfoot on a map. The guy sets himself up. Oh my God. Can you imagine? Guy trying to make say, Mark Carney, your job is in Canada. Why are you always going to the all around the world? Well, his job is to sell Canada, particularly given what he ran on. You don't give a geography question what country you're supposed to represent when throughout the entirety of your mandate after the backroom deal that you say that you're against, but that you made with Damien Carrick that allowed him to be a lobbyist in BC, even though there's a 5-year ban on being a lobbyist in Alberta. By the way, saw him on the CTV News on a panel discussion on Power Play or Question Period or something. Why are news organizations having Damien Carrick on? Why? He made a backroom deal to give up his seat. Is not supposed to be lobbying, but hey, let's just register you in BC instead. Maybe not the guy you want to invite. I'm just saying. Doesn't have the most credibility here. But yeah, Pierre thought it would be clever to point out, and then once again proved that he's just a dumb arse. Now, the geography quiz wasn't only about, of course, Mark Carney. I'm joking. The geography question being about Mark Carney, not knowing that he's in Canada, but he, Pierre alludes to that a lot. But this one was with regard to LNG. What's the fastest way for an LNG ship to get from point A to point B? So insisting, that we probably have to take a. See, Pierre, unless it's an Indigenous person, like Chief Billy Moray, who's a part of his caucus, who's for oil and gas passing on their territory, Pierre has absolutely no respect for you as a living being. Right? I mean, he blew the residential school apology of Stephen Harper. He appears to believe that Canadians deserve value for money for tort settlements. He's got a lot of members of his caucus, Mr. Aaron Gunn, on a regular basis. Anytime he has an opportunity, deliver anti-Indigenous rhetoric. Once again, I'm not going to play his voice because he has nothing serious to say. However, you know that thing about listening to stuff with the volume off and catching what it is, understanding what's going on? Try this, kids and cubs. What do you think is going on? What do you think that attitude there? Let's go a little further in. And, this body language here. Okay, you can just feel the smarminess oozing from the guy. Oh, reading from his document then. The haughtiness. You can just feel it. You don't even need the volume. Ah, come on. I do not know why it is doing this to me. All right, let's show you those images given that they didn't show the first time. See, even my computer doesn't want to. My computer tried to help you. Like, it didn't want you to see PP. Here you go. This. What does any of this give you the idea of? Just haughtiness. Haughtiness. Pyapaliev, standing in front of there, said, "Don't you know that it is, more efficient to pass by the northern route? What's the shortest way to get there from point A to point B? That's the way we need to do, no matter all other considerations be damned." Well, I'm sorry, but there are other considerations. The fact that it happens to be the shortest route does not say, well, it's the shortest route, so that determines that we have the right to run roughshod over everyone on that path because it's the shortest route. He just. Yes, there was supposed to be no sound. I didn't need to expose you to the voice. Everything that he said in that intervention was stupid, dumb, and condescending, and superly oversimplified. So no, we did not need to hear him whine. We just needed to see the body language because once again, we have a man who just a couple of days ago told us he was going to stand for Canada, and ever since he said that, he has upped the level of smug. He has upped the level of anti-charisma as he repeatedly and gleefully shivs the leader of the nation. The Prime Minister is in New York selling Canada, and the leader of the opposition is at home saying that the Prime Minister is too stupid to understand that you got to take the shortest route, while Pierre Poilievre is being too stupid to understand that politics is about people. And sometimes the fastest route between 2 points is not the distance that it takes to ship from point A to point B, but the distance it takes from not having a pipeline to ship anything from, out of, to having one. He is so dumb. It's painful. So, yeah. Obviously not contributing anything of worth to the debate, and clearly not standing for Canada, because standing for Canada doesn't mean not criticizing the Prime Minister if there's something legitimate to criticize. Standing for Canada does mean, however, not swing it at every frickin' damn pitch to have an opportunity to punch down on the leader or punch down on the people, or to suggest that Canada is broken or that we're stupid for not doing it your way. It's when the CRTC makes a decision, makes a recommendation to Cabinet that supports Canadian content, to not do the Pierre Poilievre party pooper thing all over it before a Cabinet even decides whether or not they are going to take it. It's not sending the signal to the United States. Hey, United States, yeah, we know that you do not like digital service taxes or having to contribute anything to CanCon, especially if you're part of the high tech stuff, online where I live and all that kind of stuff. So, hey, how about I show you that I'm open for business by uh, right off the bat, as soon as this comes out of the CRTC, saying that we should not do that. Absolutely not, because that would be trying to ruin our relationship with the United States. And that letting the United States know that, hey, you know what? Maybe we don't have to do this thing because there's an opposition guy over there that we can use as the wedge to divide and conquer. If you're standing for Canada, you don't needlessly jump at every opportunity to signal to the people who said they want to annex us that you're open for business and that you're the spot where they need to put the thin edge of the wedge. You can't stand for Canada and punch down on it at the same time. You can't stand for Canada and punch down on two-thirds of its citizens at the same time. And you can't stand for Canada and shiv its leaders just for shits and giggles, outrage, likes, clicks, and donations and data at the same time. You have to pick a lane. And in this particular debate that we're having right now on the sovereignty issue in Alberta, it's not Mark Carney that is going to convince the group of soft federalists who happen to be conservatives who may see this as an opportunity to send a message. It might not be Mark Carney, even though he grew up in Alberta. He's the Liberal Prime Minister, and while in Alberta, you are cultivated to hate the Liberal Prime Minister if there is one. So he might not be the best person. It might not be Jason Kenney, even though he's an Albertan. We already know what they did to him, this particular faction. So he's not the one that's going to be convincing them. But Pierre Poilievre is the leader of opposition, self-declared Prime Minister waiting, and he has a riding in Alberta, and he claims that he's a federalist. So is this kind of rhetoric from him the kind of rhetoric that will get those soft conservative federalists who might be thinking of sending a message, vilifying, demonizing, diminishing Mark Carney every single chance you open your mouth? Is that what's going to get those people to vote for Canada? Good thing we got Corey Hogan, eh? MP for Calgary Confederation. He's doing a bang-up job of it. Should there, there's probably going to be a cabinet shuffle at some point during the course of the summer. I've been saying it for a while now. He's probably one that's going to get the tap on the shoulder, called up to the big leagues. Maybe there's going to be a Minister for National Unity coming up. But he's definitely proven himself capable. So far, he's taken up that mantle. And we have other people, of course. Avi Lewis spoke up the other day, also said a couple of things that were true, that a lot of people might not like him having said, but they are true nonetheless. See if I can find one of those for you here. But yes, we are going to need some people to take up the mantle. But the more I'm seeing of this, the how to put it, the more there may actually not be that much of a need for always in your face federal response. Right? Here we have Avi Lewis talking about some differences between the separation movement in Alberta, comparing with the movement in Quebec. So let's take a little look at that here. Okay, now let's make sure that it's on the screen. No, it is not yet. Darn. This time I checked first, though, because I was going to do the same thing. I was going to press the play and it wasn't going to happen. All right.
The separation movement in Alberta has no point of comparison with the historic sovereignty movement in Quebec. This is a MAGA-aligned, potentially funded, disruptive movement that has been really thrown into national prominence by Danielle Smith. This question that a portion of her base, a small minority of Albertans, the vast majority of whom want to stay in Canada, don't want to have a referendum that will rip the country apart. So that it's not the same thing. The separation.
So, and then later on, Mr. Lewis was asked, well, probably, I would assume, maybe by a pro-Western journalist, whether or not he believed that that type of rhetoric, I don't know what that type of rhetoric is, but whether or not that type of rhetoric could be damaging to the Federalist cause. Because we just saw how upset Michelle Rempel-Garner got at the mere suggestion from the Prime Minister that, well, maybe the question would have to be looked at via the Clarity Act. Oh my God, she was all fire, wasn't she? So they got very upset just for that. Mr. Lewis being asked whether or not he thinks this type of stuff is not going to be helpful or is going to be inflammatory in some way to the movement. And I love this answer. I love this answer because this is the way these types of questions should be answered when they are asked, because they are bait, right? So let's take a look. Just 6 seconds.
Bobby, do you believe you're fueling the Alberta independence movement with your rhetoric on oil and gas?
No, I do not.
Boom. No, I do not. No need to explain. No, nothing. No, I do not. Because telling the truth should not be something that inflames rhetoric. And if it does, that tells the people, it says a lot about the people who choose to nail themselves to a cross. No, I do not. Boom. Because, like I said, there should be no reason for that. That question shouldn't even exist, really. Now, where the question, do you think the separatists will take your rhetoric and try to do something to inflame the debate with it? Oh yes, absolutely, because that's the kind of people they are. But will the words itself? No. It's going to be what people decide, what use of the words. That certain people who are not particularly honest brokers and do not have necessarily the best intentions of other people at heart, and who have shown that they're not particularly of good faith and not really all that keen on following the law or court orders. What those people will do with those words, yeah, that might inflame the debate, but the words itself won't. Now, again, do we stop saying the truth for fear that somebody's going to take it and repackage it and demonize us and misinterpret it? I don't know. Kit Linda going, is that an NDP thing? Come on, show it. There we go. Is that an NDP thing to just answer questions bluntly? He and Wab have nailed it. I see here there, Kit Saucy going, Tim Houston has been making cuts everywhere too. It's not a fun time. I'm guessing that those cuts um, have been definitely having some impact because um, the other day I saw some public opinion polling for Nova Scotia, oddly enough, which doesn't necessarily come out as frequent intervals as it does with Quebec or Ontario specifically, let's say. Uh, but there was some very interesting data here. And this is making me wonder about something. Like I said, I'm just going to take a little quick aside on this because I was not expecting this. But since Saucy mentioned it, I figured I would squeeze it in here. Makes me wonder because yesterday we showed you the Angus Reid Alberta provincial polling showing the UCP at 46 and the NDP at 45. If you remember that. And that polling surprised people. And if that level of polling here is, what might be the undercurrent, what's going on in Alberta, and always remember political parties, private organizations with much more money, what they get on the internals is much more granular. Lets people know that there might be some big issues here. But Abacus, May 11th to 14th, 2026, was polling in Nova Scotia. And if you remember, at the last provincial election, what the hell is going on my screen right now? Okay, that is very, very weird. I'm sorry, kids and cubs. I do not know what's going on right now. Are you still with me? Just okay. Yeah. Okay. No, we're still there. Okay. Okay. Good. Wow. That was very weird. The at the time of the general election, I believe, the progressive conservatives in Nova Scotia, I think, had picked up 53% of the vote, 52.49% of the vote, and had won 43 of the 54 seats that were available, basically considered to have a supermajority, what's called there in Canadian politics, where there's a much less consideration of the opposition parties that is required to get things through if you just want to put your head down and bulldoze things through. Well, it would appear that in Nova Scotia, at least, there might be a little bit of buyer's remorse. The Progressive Conservative Party of Nova Scotia has dropped 15 points since the election in 2024 to 38. The NDP has risen 9 to 33 under the leadership of Claudia Chender. The Nova Scotia Liberals are unchanged at 23. Other parties combined are at 5. And the Greens are up 2 to 3% in Nova Scotia. Wow. The sheen came off that government rather quickly, didn't it? Wow. Back to Alberta and stuff, right? As I mentioned yesterday, the UCP appeared to be having a little bit of an identity crisis because the party president, Rob Smith, was having some difficulty saying that the UCP as a party would be standing for Canada in the way that Danielle Smith as premier has been saying that she would, giving us a signal that the civil war that we all know is brewing within the UCP movement, and there's a broader one throughout the entire Canadian conservative movement, of course, happening because purity testers abound. Um, that it was starting to froth up a little bit, and it made me think, because I am of a certain vintage, about how life in Canada uh, sure has changed over the decades. Now, if you're of a certain vintage, like I am, you may have remember um, a lovely couple from Hamilton, Smith and Smith, had a little variety show. 1979 to 1986. But now we are in 2026. Oh, what 40 years does. Yeah, we went from Smith and Smith to Smith versus Smith. In fact, it seems that the Smith versus Smith thing, hope you like that one, by the way. I worked hard on it. In the Smith versus Smith thing, I literally searched everywhere to try and find a photo of them together, like the Smith and Smith photo, and I could not find one. So I don't know if this has been lasting for quite some time. But yeah, that is not going very well. Well, it seems that Danielle somewhat put her foot down, and I guess somewhat won, because according to Don Braid of the Calgary Herald, whoops, I was just about to read it. The thing swerved on me. Okay, I got a little too enthusiastic there to bring this one to you. It says here, the battle for the heart of the UCP is finally on. Premier Danielle Smith's ministers and MLAs are firing up messages to current and former party members. It's time to take the UCP back from the fringe separatists. Ooh, really? Now, here's the thing. This was predicted a little bit by our friends at the Breakdown, Alberta, because our good friends at the Breakdown, Alberta, have people send them things, and therefore sometimes if you're following Nate's feed, well, Nate, the Breakdown's feed, I always say Nate because Nate has his own feed, so it's the Breakdown's feed here. If you are following it, you often get a little bit of a pre-taste of what is going to be happening. Oh, by the way, shameless plug for our friends. It says if you happen to be in Edmonton on July 25th on July 25th, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. and have nothing planned, it looks like the Breakdown is going to be doing a live show. That'll be fun. So the Breakdown Live, July 25th, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. here at the Orange Hub Theater, 1045 156th Street, Northwest Edmonton. Ticket price $30 per person. For tickets, go to thebreakdownlive.ca. There you go. Always happy to help some friends of the Beaver Lodge when there is an opportunity to here by promoting good stuff that they are doing, because as Nate says, we got to keep the conversation going, right? So plus it's always a good time. So yeah, it would seem that when that poll came out, that there was word that came to the Breakdown that would indicate that there might be a message coming from the inside of the party to get your Canada on rather quickly, actually, because this could turn bad for the party relatively quickly. So you had an idea that this was happening, and then we had this the breakdown. Well, here, first of all, there's Danielle Smith going on to a radio show first to uh, put her foot down that she doesn't really like some of the things that have been being saying. She was on the Shay Graham show.
Well, let's remember, I'm the leader of the party.
Whoops. Let's try that. The Shay Graham show, Calgary 770 AM and 880 CHED. And here's what she had to say then.
Well, let's remember, I'm the leader of the party, and I speak for the party. And I have said...
To you, though, if Rod Smith is saying he won't back you on your stance.
I'm letting you know, I speak for the party, and what our party has said is that we support autonomy and sovereignty for Alberta within a united Canada. That's what independence means, in my view, is that we have a federal government that honors the Constitution and works with us to make sure that they stay out of our lane and we stay out of their lane, and where we overlap, we find ways to amend it. That's what I've been working for ever since the moment I got elected. It was my very first bill in the legislature, and it is exactly what I'll continue doing as we go forward and have this vote.
Now, the I speak for the party part may be one thing. The work hard to stay in their lane and we work hard to stay in our lane, however, is a outright bovine fecal matter. Because remember, on those 9 questions that she was going to ask prior, right? Question 6 to 9 are about the Canadian Constitution. Provincial selection for judge for provincial courts, not her frickin' lane. Abolishing the federal Senate and working with other provinces to try to make that happen, not her freaking lane. Giving provincial laws priority over federal laws in areas of shared jurisdiction, not her frickin' lane. Right? So, again, with Danielle Smith, you always have to take it with a grain of salt here. But then, again, sparking the fire First Nations across Canada, we told you about the Chippewa and Sturgeon Lake. She also has the Anishinaabe Nation. They and this anti-indigenous stuff online is getting really ugly, by the way. So hopefully we can put a cork in this very quickly, because it's getting super ugly. But it says here, the Anishinaabe Nation Grand Council Chief Linda DeBasage reminds citizens of Canada of the importance of recognizing First Nations rights and land sovereignty, as separatist ideologies only serve to cause division amongst citizens. Quote, the Anishinaabe Nation has long upheld the covenant of treaties and ensured the strength and importance of treaties through the Crown's metaphor of a silver covenant chain. This chain represents a relationship that is strong but can tarnish or contract rust if neglected. This is the very case that is unfolding in the West. Both parties, First Nations and settler governments, agreed that when conflicts or misunderstandings arose, the treaty would serve as a tool to polish the chain together. Since 1764, the symbolism has served as a reminder to all that treaty relationships must be mutually maintained with care and respect, ensuring strength and integrity are preserved over time. It underscores the importance of ongoing commitment and partnership to honoring these agreements so the relationship remains steadfast rather than deteriorating. It is essential to recognize that without First Nations, there would be no property rights, no provinces, and no territorial boundaries across Canada. The foundation of this country's land and governance systems is rooted in the treaties and agreements made with First Nations peoples. Every member of parliament and senator must swear or affirm allegiance to the sovereign before they can take their seat and before they can do business of the crown. Treaties are a fundamental part of that allegiance, as they form the very foundation of the nation's legal and constitutional framework. These treaties entered into with the First Nations are not just historical agreements of the past, but are living legal commitments with the Crown that led to the establishment of the rights of Canada and its provinces and territories. Understanding the true history of Canada is crucial. We need to educate ourselves and others about the original custodians of this land, as this is the foundational reality that has been present since before Confederation. The Canadian education system should include this history from coast to coast to coast to prevent the tarnished ideology emerging in the West. Through this education would come acknowledgement and gratitude to the First Nations on whose lands we live, work, and prosper, rather than viewing First Nations and treaty rights as an obstacle. Without treaties, there are no legal or economic rights to land. We commend our First Nations brothers and sisters for removing the veil of ignorance that has concealed the true ownership of this land, despite the heavy criticism it receives. It is time that we have an honest and respectful conversation about this fundamental aspect of our nation's history and present reality. This can only be achieved together, as we must all polish the chains that link Canada together. Miigwech. And she's the Grand Council Chief of the Anishinaabe Nation, Linda de Basigi. I actually don't know how her last name is pronounced. I've never heard it, so I'm guessing here that that's what it was. So if anybody knows better, or if I made a mistake, I do apologize for that. So yeah, that statement definitely made. And here, first comment right behind it: go F yourselves. You are given millions and your communities are in shambles. You should be ashamed of yourself. I mean, that's what that's the ugliness that we are getting there. You know, since I'm here, I'm just going to block that account right now. Boom. It doesn't have anything positive to offer. Too angry, too weird, and too negative. Ain't nobody got time for that. So then, May 27th, Sean Amato. Sean, here's a statement you can use, because I guess he asked for one. The position of our party, the UCP caucus, and the UCP government is that we believe in a sovereign Alberta within a united Canada. That is the position our party has taken from the very beginning. It's in our founding principles. Decisions like this that impact the future of our province and its place in Confederation would need to be made by all Albertans through a referendum. That's what 700,000 Albertans have asked for. Lie. By signing one of two citizen-initiated petitions, and it's a process the Premier is honoring by putting it to a vote on October 19th. There's no reason for the Premier to honor that process because a good portion of those signatures still haven't been verified, may have been through a process that was not conform to the law, and may contain signatures that may have been forged, given that Alberta's electors list was leaked. So, wow, that's a switch in position all of a sudden from the party. So it seems that when she said, I speak for the party, she went in there and she put her foot down. Now, when it says those 300,000 signatures, kids and cubs, or 700,000 signatures, no. And let's talk about what really happened here. This is the order in council. The Lieutenant Governor in Council orders that a referendum be conducted under the Referendum Act in accordance with the following. The referendum question to be put to electors and to which an elector who votes in the referendum must respond by selecting only one option shall be: should Alberta remain a province of Canada, or should the Government of Alberta commence the legal process required under the Canadian Confederation to hold a binding provincial referendum on whether or not Alberta should separate from Canada? Option 1, Alberta should remain a province of Canada. Option 2, that blah, 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 blah thing that doesn't exist. Because there is no legal process required under the Canadian Constitution to hold a binding referendum. So I don't know what people that will be voting for option 2 will be voting for something that actually does not exist. By the way, 2, the referendum is to be held separately as a standalone referendum on October 19th, 2026. The referendum is to be held in the entirety of the province of Alberta. The result of the referendum is not to be binding, even though the Premier has stated that she would personally be bound by it. The referendum is to not be conducted by mail-in ballot, which does not prevent advance voting as defined in the Elections Act, or voting by special ballot or secure special ballot as provided for in the Election Act. And as you can see right here, this was the only signature that made this happen. The 300,000 that she lumps into the 400,000 that wanted to avert a referendum, and then she tortures it, and twists it to say they wanted a referendum. No. The petition was one signature and one signature only, and it's this one right here that you see on the order in council. That is the only valid signature that asked, the only valid and validated signature that we know of that has requested a referendum, no matter what anybody says, no matter how much gaslighting or BS. There's one signature, and only one, asking for this referendum, and it was Danielle Smith's. The proof right there. So, back to Mr. Bray. It's time to take the UCP back from the fringe separatists. That's the theme. Smith's crew urges people who might have lapsed to rejoin, attend the next general meeting, and vote Federalists onto the party board. So the separatists said, hey, sell all those memberships and bring people on too so we can get rid of Danielle Smith. Well, she's doing the same thing. Hey, if you were thinking about it like this, you probably shouldn't be thinking that. Instead, join the party if you've had your membership lapse, and come in and vote to take the party back from the separatists. Separatists are said to hold at least half of the elected seats on that board. The current group, led by President Rob Smith, no relation, has 17 elected members. The Premier is automatically the most senior person on the board. 2 MLAs are non-voting members. The rural regional directors are mostly separatists. Some were deeply involved in the movement to unseat ex-Premier Jason Kenney. Now they've turned to separatism. A hostile board can take out a premier. That happened to ex-PC Premier Alison Redford in 2014. And then Danielle Smith hired her back and gave her a position. By March that year, she had many critics, but board hostility was the last straw. Some hardline separatists, including Jeffrey Rath, now vow to sign up masses of new UCP members to drive out Danielle Smith. This was not a threat any Alberta Conservative Premier should take lightly. Then Rob Smith blew the lid off. On Tuesday, he refused to commit the party to federalism. Quote, it's an absolute fact that a substantial number of our members are very pro on the concept of independence, he told an interviewer. Recognizing that we have a significant number of our members that are pro-independence, we will not be coming out in favor or against as a political party. Dude, if your foundational documents say that you are a Federalist party and you have some pro-independence members, why the hell are they still members of your party? You needed to clean house earlier, but you didn't manage your affairs, so now you've made your problem ours. Thanks for that. Quote, but the representatives who have been elected as MLAs, they're going to be making their stances known. And some of them have. There's a MLA, I believe her last name is Sani, if I'm not mistaken, Rajan Sani, who is the MLA for Calgary Northwest and part of the government. She is the Minister of Indigenous Relations for the government. And she says, I stand with Premier Alberta Danielle Smith in defending Alberta's interests, and in the October referendum, I will be voting for Alberta to remain a proud province of Canada. Alberta deserves a strong voice, fair treatment, and leaders willing to fight for the province. It is possible to support Alberta and advocate for respect from Ottawa while still believing in a united country. Now, while I have personally no reason to doubt Miss Sani's position on that, and I might actually be more inclined to believe it, given that she is Minister of Indigenous Relations. I don't know if she is Indigenous herself. But here's the truth, as we mentioned before. In this debate, if you're Albertan, even if you're Canadian, but if you're Albertan, any MLA can tell you where it is they think you want them to believe they stand. But that is just a claim. And there's no way for them to prove whatsoever after they emerge from that voting booth how they voted. There's no way. So, just a word of caution, anybody in this debate, regardless of party, can tell you, oh, this is how I'm going to vote. That's basically a free pass for them because there exists absolutely no way to prove it. You have to take them on faith. And when it comes to the MLAs from this particular party, a party that's known to lie and to look the other way when certain people that it is more partial to or fond of break the law. It's up to you if for people who do that within that party, or if they don't do that, still agree to work for a party that does that, whether or not their word on this issue can be taken to the bank. I would say it was probably, if you don't want to doubt anybody's intentions, then to just not let what they claim their position is factor in to your decision making, because unless they have very, very much demonstrated it, and it's consistent with deeds taken before and taken after. But again, if you are an MLA on a party that has done this in this way and you have not walked away in disgust yet, I'm not sure how willing I would be to take your word for things. So just a word of advice that the statement literally in this case means nothing because there is no way at all to back it up. Mr. Braid continues here. The president of the UCP declining to back the premier and even presuming to speak for her party. That's supposed to be the premier's job. She's the leader and in normal times, the final authority. Rob Smith created an impossible situation for Danielle Smith. Suddenly, she was campaigning for keeping Alberta in Canada, but her party would not back her. The premier finally snapped. Rob Smith got a powerful earful. The next day, he meekly put out another message. Quote, the position of our party, the UCP caucus and the UCP government, is that we believe in a sovereign Alberta within a united Canada. That's the position our party has taken from the very beginning. It's in our founding principles. Not exactly. The Sovereignty Act came 6 years after the UCP's creation in 2017, but the commitment to Canada was clear from the start. Rob Smith has disowned it with his statement. He was right about one thing, though. It's, quote, an absolute fact that large numbers of the party members are separatists, but are they a majority? Some veteran UCP insiders say they're a minority faction with undue influence. As usual, the angriest get the most attention and fight hardest for influence. The separatist movement itself is divided. Rath's pronouncements infuriate many who believe he hurts the movement. Also, Premier Smith and her policies are still popular with many separatist leaners in the UCP. Partly because of that, there isn't much concern that a strong separatist party will spring up in the 2027 election. The biggest threat to the UCP, in fact, may be the loss of conservative moderates. Fight, 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 fight. Many are disgusted enough by separatist noise to leave the party. On voting day, they could sit on their hands or even back the NDP. Or maybe enough of them will move to the progressive Tory party. Many are, let's see, Danielle Smith has put up with a lot. At last year's convention, she was humiliated by boos for her and cheers for separatism. For another article I read, it would seem to indicate that Jeffrey Rath had just stood up in the middle of the meeting and said, I'm a separatist, who's with me, or something like that. And there's about 85% of the room that applauded for that. Eesh. She brought most of the trouble on herself by constantly coddling and prevaricating, hoping to find an escape hatch from the government. There is no easy way out. The premier finally has to fight hard, not just for federalism, but for control of her own party. Bets? She'll win, but it will get ugly. Don Braid's take on it. There's another take on it, however, that I found really interesting. Column for the breakdown much the same way as Kit Chris's was. And I read it in, and I'm going to read this one too because it's pretty good. And it kind of has an interesting theme because it has a little bit of the same thing with the claim made about Mark Carney about having a different dialects for different rooms. But you will see here with her example and his example how things are different. This is from Blaine Moan. In December, let's see what here is. Oh, and by the way, I have to show you the picture that comes with this editorial cartoon because, oh my God, whoever drew this or came up with this idea did not hold back. Is all I will say. So, from the picture, you will probably get an idea of what the tone of this opinion piece is going to be. Let's see if it popped up on my screen. Yes, no, I'm getting that spinning wheel. All right, let's try it one more time. There you go. For those who are not watching and just listening, it's Danielle Smith holding up the province of Alberta that's sweating and has its hands up while she is actually holding a pistol to its temple. Someone did not hold back. All right. Let's see what he has to say. In December of 2014, Danielle Smith, Wildrose leader of the opposition, crossed the floor joining Progressive Conservative Premier Jim Prentice. Quote, "You really have to want to take down the Premier." "I don't want to take down the Premier," said Danielle Smith. "Until that moment, I was a Wildrose and Danielle Smith supporter. The opposition is supposed to hold government to account, not, quote, take down the Premier. That was our introduction to exactly who and what Danielle Smith is. This week, Smith has thrown the country into a needless polarizing referendum. Quote, hold a binding provincial referendum on whether or not Alberta should separate from Canada? Danielle Smith created the Alberta Sovereignty Act, intended to amplify and incite short-sighted, angry Albertans. Like a weasel on an unattended chicken nugget, Smith pounced on the opportunity to feed and lead the angry mob to gain power. There is no conspiracy, just a human being with no ethics or specific ideology calling herself a, quote, conservative, claiming to give a voice to unhappy Albertans. Populism at its worst. If she's in a room full of separatists, she's a separatist. If she's in a room full of moderates, she's a moderate. If she's in a room full of anti-vaxxers, she's an anti-vaxxer. If she's in a room full of progressive, empathetic people, she's in the wrong room. Ooh, ouch. Today, with real consequences hanging in the balance, having set in motion an unpredictable, divisive referendum, Smith is now finally saying she will vote to keep Alberta in Canada. May 22nd, 2026, the day Danielle Smith turned her back on the right-wing separatists who gave her power and switched teams from Trump-dumb separatists to Go Canada Go. Now, the entity Smith breathed life into and used as a springboard to power is turning on her. Like in 2014, Smith saw an opportunity to gain power, then ditched the people she was supposed to represent. I feel no sympathy for separatists. They deserve nothing other than a refresher course in basic math and directions south. I'll even show them how Google Maps works. Danielle Smith never cared about Albertans or economy. Want proof? After whining and moaning for literally years, we now have a pragmatic prime minister willing to work to improve investment. Instead of using last week's court ruling to allow her to drop the separation question altogether, Smith adds the question, plunging Alberta and Canada into a divisive referendum. If you had money to build a pipeline to the West Coast, would you invest it now? I remind you that the last pipeline to the West Coast was bought and paid for by taxpayers, not a corporate backer. Albertans are understandably unhappy with our place in the Canadian experience, from a dysfunctional, useless Senate to an unfairly spent tax dollars to anti-pipeline legislation. Danielle Smith claimed she wanted to help Albertans. Instead, we are fighting to save Canada, and the UCP is unabashedly a separatist party. Is that what you voted for? Party affiliation in municipal elections, provincial interference in the Calgary Green Line routing, buying off select foreign coal speculators yet allowing others to proceed, $250 million thus far, using the notwithstanding clause 4 times to bully trans families and teachers, the corrupt care scandal, ignoring First Nations consultation, promoting chemtrail conspiracies, gerrymandering, Alberta tax dollars to visit Christian University in Florida and Ben Shapiro, politicizing the Jasper wildfire, lowering threshold for citizen-initiated referendum leading to a constitutional crisis, If you are one of those Albertans threatening separation, believing it is just an exercise to use as leverage to gain Alberta better standing with Ottawa, know this. In 2014, about the same time Danielle Smith was switching teams in Alberta, less than one-third of Brits wanted to leave the EU. Then Brexit, myriads of misinformation resulting in a vote of 52% in favor of leaving the EU. Today, 64% regret that decision. Separatists are moonwalking towards becoming Puerto Rico with snow, using a live grenade pin to pick day-old spamburger out of their gums. Smith could have humored a lady who asked her about jet chemtrails instead. Quote, if anyone is doing it, it's the U.S. Department of Defense. I have some limitations in what I can do in my job. I don't know that I have much power if that's the case, if the U.S. Department of Defense is spraying us. Ask yourself what kind of educated person humors chemtrail chasers. Encouraging lies only deepens the gap from the electorate between fact and fiction, creating more ignorant and angry Albertans. A normal response might have been, quote, jet streams are nothing but condensed water vapor, a byproduct of superheating very cold air through jet engines. I encourage you to read scientific and factual information. But here we are. A majority of Albertans recognize some things are beginning to improve, but Danielle Smith doesn't want investment. Instead, Smith kills economic momentum, hijacking the narrative perpetuated by hateful trolls with no plan other than using our personal data as though it were free funnel cake at the Milk River mud bog. Where's David Parker anyways? Many Albertans have been smoldering in anger over our treatment by Ottawa. Enter Fire Chief Danielle Smith dumping diesel fuel on glowing embers, yelling, fire, fire, only to realize the inferno she created blocked the only exit. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Blaine Moan is a landowner and advocate in southern Alberta. And there you go. Now, the part in that relates a little bit to Mark Carney there is, if she's in a room full of separatists, she's a separatist. If she's in a room full of moderates, she's a moderate. If she's in a room full of anti-vaxxers, she's an anti-vaxxer. If she's in a room full of progressive, empathetic people, she's in the wrong room. The way that Danielle Smith changes the way that she speaks for the room that she is in, and the way that Mark Carney changes the way that he speaks for the room that he is in, are clearly different. Because the way that she speaks eventually ends her up in the situation that she is in now. Whereas the way that Mark Carney speaks, the core message that he is sending is always the same. He's only bringing the aspects of the message out that are of specific interest to that audience and puts them forward first. But the core message that he's selling never changes. That's not the same for Danielle. And that's the difference. That's the difference between, in my headspace, that's the difference between elasticity or just pure bad faith and just tactically tailoring your message to the audience to whom you're speaking. And in the case of Mark Carney, it appears to have worked somewhat because Ambassador Doucheface actually had something positive to say for once. I know, right? Sitting down for it? He actually had something positive to say. Rachel Aiello of CTV says here, employing U.S. President Donald Trump's marquee slogan, Prime Minister Mark Carney told a New York City business crowd on Thursday that, quote, Canada Strong will help make America great again, a remark the U.S. envoy to this country said was, quote, worth repeating. Speaking at the Economic Club of New York, the Prime Minister detailed his economic diversification strategy and his plans to recalibrate Canada's relationships and reputation. Quote, we're focused on what we can control, and that means weaving a dense web of international partnerships abroad. That's making us a much stronger, more resilient, more independent country. And isn't that what the United States wants us to be, more independent and less of a freeloader who's sucking them dry and taking advantage of them? Touting some key areas where the federal Liberals have made progress, Carney sought to make the case for why Canada and the U.S. should continue to cooperate in key sectors. Quote, above all, as you would expect, we're focused on the things that are good for Canada. This is good for all Canadians, but it's also good for the United States, the Prime Minister said, because a stronger Canada is a better ally. Describing Canada's efforts to become more autonomous as a quote core objective of his government, Carney also played on how continuously integrated the Canadian and American markets are despite Trump's trade war and sectoral tariffs. Quote, while Canada and the United States have had our differences over the centuries, we have always worked and eventually worked through them because we share values and our common interests run deep, he said. They run through our economies. Canada is America's largest customer. We buy more goods from America than China, Japan, and Germany combined, the Prime Minister continued. Those common interests run through our supply chains, where 70% of Canadian exports are inputs to American cars, homes, aircraft, machinery, finished goods, creating hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars of U.S. value add. Going on to note the various degrees to which the U.S. relies on Canadian natural gas, electricity, and crude oil imports, Carney said, quote, that is mutual strength. Carney's comments pitching Canada as an investment destination and his short trip south of the border more broadly come as relations between Canada and the U.S. remain rocky ahead of a review of the Canada-United States-Mexico agreement. Without offering specifics, the Prime Minister told the room of financial and industry heavyweights that his government has made, quote, specific practical proposals to the U.S. administration to move past the current era of tension. And in a first sign of a potential thaw, it appears Carney's line evoking MAGA went over very well with U.S. Ambassador to Canada, Pete Hoekstra. Quote, PM Carney said something worth repeating today. A Canada strong will help make America great again. I think a lot of Americans could get behind that kind of positive message, he said on X, reposting a video of the Prime Minister's speech. During a post-speech fireside chat, Carney was asked what makes him optimistic about the Canada-US economic relationship going forward. Starting on economics, the Prime Minister pointed to the global energy crisis and how Canada can be part of the solution for American shortages. He also argued that allowing the North American auto, steel, and aluminium sectors to become a true fortress would be in everyone's interest. Noting ways that Canada has taken more responsibility when it comes to Arctic and continental security, Carney then pivoted to talking about values and how both countries share core values when it comes to freedom and liberty. Quote, that's ultimately where we stand, and that reasserts over time, so we'll work our way through, the Prime Minister said. Carney also faced questions about the Canada-China relationship, which he said was, quote, in a need of a reset after diplomatic relations had, quote, broken down and the trade relationship was fraught. And once again, that trade relationship with China broke down as a result of us doing something for the U.S., which was acting on an extradition order for the CEO of Huawei, Meng Wanzhou, which had the conservatives at the time, if you remember, saying, well, gee, we didn't really need to respect that. Look at all the trouble it's causing. Maybe we should have just let her through and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, because letting her through would have really helped us later on. And then the conservatives preached often just letting her go so that we could get back to business with China, which would have created the incredible precedent of rewarding China for hostage diplomacy and letting them know, creating the precedent as well, that anytime they wanted something from us, they just needed to kidnap one or two of our citizens. Justin Trudeau really does not get enough credit for the manner in which he stood up to China and basically said, no, I do not think that you will be imposing China law on Canadian territory. Thank you very much. And he didn't break. The election of Joe Biden in the United States led China to realize that they would have to hold these two hostages for another 4 years if they wanted to achieve their goals, and they decided that, well, it just wasn't worth it anymore. And then they released them soon after because they were not going to get a sympathetic ear. And how Russia's ongoing war in Ukraine has him thinking about Canada's defense strategy. The Prime Minister admitted the country had, quote, been a laggard on overall spending, but isn't anymore. Back on this side of the border, reaction to Carney's U.S. speech was mixed. Rising in the House of Commons to offer his rebuttal to the Prime Minister's remarks, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre joked that Carney was in New York, quote, to expand his favorite export speeches. There we go. There's the quote I was looking for. And once again, it was filled with more of his... And once again, it was filled with more of his seemingly sophisticated but highly contradictory buzzwords, Poilievre said. On the one hand, he says that we are in the middle of a rupture with the United States, while on the other, he says he wants to make America, in his words, great again. No, that's not what he said. He didn't say, I, as Prime Minister, want to make America great again. He said, my goal as Prime Minister, my core mandate, to make Canada strong. The more we achieve that, the more that will have benefits for the United States that will help make it great again.
His elbows were again flapping up and down in the rhetorical chicken dance as he cannot seem to decide if integration with the U.S. is a strength or a weakness. He argued passionately for both positions in the last 3 months alone.
Yes, the pigeon claiming that the Prime Minister is doing a chicken dance. Polyev then said that despite Carney's comments, in his estimation, Canada is
on exactly the same track.
Business Council of Canada CEO Goldie Hyder had a different take. In an interview on CTV News Channel, he said he thought Carney was pitch perfect in acknowledging the areas where Canada needs to do better. Quote, "What's happening up here in Canada is a good story, and it's great to hear the Prime Minister tell it in New York," Hyder said. "I think the tone the Prime Minister struck of, what's good for Canada is also good for America is an important one." Yes, it's a tonal shift that's taken place. And unlike Pierre Poilievre, the Prime Minister actually knows how to execute a tonal shift. Sorry, could resist. But it's a tonal shift. Let's take the discussion out of the you must lose so that I can win dynamic, and let's bring it into the stronger we are, the stronger you can become dynamic. If the Prime Minister is able to successfully do that in the room, that might be positive. And considering, once again, that the President of the United States is about to go into some midterms and may need a win, putting a frame like that on negotiations and the deal definitely gives him away whatever he doesn't get from us to spend that as a win for himself. And again, we are perfectly happy to let him do that because, as I mentioned, right, the Prime Minister is not only a pragmatist, he needs to find a way to get to some kind of deal so we can take this sort of Damocles, stop it from hanging over our head. But he's also a risk manager. In the moment, in making that statement, the Prime Minister calculated, or prior to making the statement, because I don't think he does very many things in the moment, he seems to be a very thoughtful and deliberate person. What are the odds that people back home are going to just remember the MAGA part and forget the Canada Strong part and twist his things? And what damage could that do to him politically versus what benefit could accrue to him, his party, but mostly to Canada by taking it out of the confrontational frame and putting it into the cooperative framework and maybe actually achieving a deal that he can come home and say, this was a deal that was good for Canada. Because so long as it stays in the win-lose dynamic, we are never going to be able to come home with a deal that we say is good for Canada. And should the negotiations come to the pass and he does get a deal, then what does that do to Pierre? Mark Carney, the risk manager, is taking the risk that saying that in the United States in that way, that could get Hoekstra to go back to Donald Trump if he does and say, hey, there's an attitude change over here like this, this is our chance to get that win. And they actually manage to negotiate something. The betting on the chance for that happening, because if it happens, will be such a windfall, is a calculated risk that is worth taking, because the current track we're on gets us absolutely nowhere. It's not the first time that the Prime Minister has made statements like that. It's not the first time that the Prime Minister has changed things to speak in the language of Donald Trump. If you remember when he was in the Oval Office the first time, when he made the comment about, Donald Trump here in real estate and there's certain properties that are never on the market. I do not know where that screeching suddenly has started to come from. That is very weird. Am I the only one who hears the scratching sound? Because it just started and I don't know what's causing it. Let me know there, kids and cubs. I'm gonna wait for a prompt from you. Wow, hold on, I'm just gonna check my connection here. I'm not seeing anything happening in the chat whatsoever. Are we still on together? I'm not seeing anything. Okay, that's not helping me. There we go. Chat's updating. Okay, no. Still behind for some reason. You hear fine? You don't hear it? Okay, perfect. Then I'll just continue because it is really something at this end. Okay, I'm going to try and... okay, everybody's hearing fine. Okay, then I will try to talk through the scratching at my end, even though it just started. It's like a crackling fire that's perpetual, and it's like, I don't know what's causing it. There's nothing causing any interference or anything, and I haven't moved anything. So, well, I'll just try to keep going as best I can here. So, the fact that, like I said, he took he spoke, tailoring the message to the audience when he was in the Oval Office and did that. So, the Prime Minister is not against taking calculated risks, right? The Davos speech was also a calculated risk because it could draw the ire of the United States. But if it went off successfully and people bought in, it would earn him also, the opportunity to essentially be declared pretty much the leader of the middle powers, the man with the plan to bring everyone together with the credibility and the convening power. One of the things that the Prime Minister said specifically while he was in New York, which could have been a little bit of shade in a way, but delivered again with the classy way that he does, in the subtle way that he does, because he is good with words. He mentioned something about Canada having many resources, but one of the most important one of them being trust. Very, very important. Also, when he was talking about people weaponizing greater integration in order to use it against people. Now, when he's talking in Davos, without mentioning the United States, he was talking about what the United States was doing. But that doesn't only apply to the United States, right? There are other hegemons. And in there he said, like China on critical minerals, for example. The United States, you do realize, in other words, basically the behavior that you are exerting upon us, we won't talk about that because that's not going to serve me in this room. Let's talk about people who are doing what you are doing to us, to you. Maybe you'll be able to relate a little better to our situation if I put it in terms that you yourselves are experiencing. Ah, good. The crackling just stopped. Boom, on a dime. Much better, because that was going to give me a headache. So yeah, kids and cubs, Prime Minister, as far as we're concerned, when we're hearing all those breathless takes, our take is that this was an extremely tactical speech. It's not an offer for Canada to surrender and go elbows down or elbows flapping or whatever to the United States. It is a very, very specific and very disciplined line that the Prime Minister is walking. here. It's not a tightrope, but it's a very specific line. And it is everything that we are doing back home that you keep on coming is somehow a threat or ridiculous retaliation. Or I don't understand why they're retaliating against us. We didn't do anything. We're doing this to everyone. We are also doing this to everyone. When we decide to diversify our trade, we are diversifying with everyone. When we decide that we are going to create a hub for critical minerals, particularly for refining that is outside of China, we are doing this for everyone. Yes, of course, we will benefit. We'll benefit a lot, but we are doing this for everyone. Right? When we are helping Europe with its defense, participating safe and spreading our money a little bit around, because you guys want us to spend more, we are doing that with everyone, with all of our NATO allies. You shouldn't, that should, and beyond, right? Australia over the horizon radar. Korea, we might be getting subs. We're doing it with everyone. It's nice to see the Prime Minister strategically, basically taking the arguments that the United States is using against us and repackaging them, or the strategies and rhetoric that the United States is using against us, and repackaging them and sending them back. We're not doing anything different than you are. We are making the choices that are our right to make. You have made a choice to change the games. We are responding. Or not so much responding, we are integrating your decision into our future plans. It sounds much more diplomatic than we think that you are a bigger risk to us, and the chances of you being a single point of economic failure for us have just skyrocketed. So we're trying to save ourselves. Because you guys are a mess right now. That would not have gone over in the room. But us becoming more resilient, strong, independent, and autonomous can only be good for you. You don't have to be threatened what we're doing. We're just making choices and treating everybody the same way, just like you are. Clever, 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 clever. All right. Let's see if that's all I got for us today, or if there was anything. I mean, there was a whole bunch of stuff, but you know what? I might have to take some of that stuff off because we had Doug Ford stuff. So yes, there we go. I've gotten everything except for the Doug Ford stuff in, and we are already at, let's see, about 2 hours and a half, I think it is. 2 hours and 47, 2 hours and 50 minutes almost. So I will save the Doug Ford stuff because I might have to do a pre-record for us for Monday. So I will do that. So for now, kids and cubs, that is the end of this episode of the Daily B. Oh, and I didn't give you more WOB as I promised I would. Oh no. Okay, I'll put that in the one there too. I am so sorry. I know I need to give you more WOB. I'm sorry. I forgot to do that today. I got so excited about all the other stuff. Kids and cubs, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because we love making this for you. Remember, sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us. We really appreciate it when you do, especially, like I said, given these days what's going on, share the content, especially with a word from yourselves as to why it is that you enjoy it and why you think other people should watch it too, because that is, again, the way to ensure that we get the eyeballs. Things are improving a little bit, but not much. Our 30-day average, when I told you the first time, or not 30 average, but yeah, total 30s. When I looked at you, when I talked to you about it, when I first noticed that things were really bad, was about 21,000 a month. We're now at 22,350. So it's starting to go up a little, but our shows still, the new ones that we're putting out, are underviewed as opposed to what our usual amount is. Not as bad as the week that it was completely at its worst, where we had a day where we only had 45 or 6, and another day where we had 65 views back to back, where we were completely being strangled. But so it is picking up a little. Yeah, let's just put it this way: we very routinely have days where we have greater than 1,000, sometimes even 2,000 views, and that is those are very few and far between now. So we are still we're still being strangled a bit, even though it's not as intense as it was. So please, please, please share the content. Again, click the little notification bell and select all to make sure that you are hear about our shows and our anything that we put up and when it does come up. And thank you for all the help that you are giving us. I've been noticing and I've been seeing that there actually is a higher degree of shares on your part. They have gone up. So thank you for taking the message to heart and giving us all the help that we need. We appreciate it. That's a lovely way to contribute to the show, especially if you are not able to contribute financially. That helps us because indirectly that does help us financially as well. The more it is shared and the more people click on it and see it. So thank you so much. The U.S. is ending the blockade. I see that from Tabby G. There. Do we have some breaking news? Oh, okay. Let me go take a look and see what we've got here. See if there's some breaking news on that, because that would be a huge game changer here. I'd be interested to see what happens. So this is okay. Let's see. I want to get something better than from Crypto Briefing. Let's see. Well, this is like 12 minutes ago from Crypto Briefing. Tabby G, if you can, let me know where it is you saw that. I would definitely go and take a look at that. But right now, see, I have 2 days ago from Arab News saying Iran State TV says U.S. commits to ending naval blockade. But that would be 2 days ago. There's a draft memo here that I see that outlines the end of the U.S. blockade. PBS 4 days ago saying what we know and don't know about the emerging deal. 6 hours ago, according to the BBC, this seems to be from a reputable source, from what I can see here, Daniel Bush and Max Matza. So let's, you know what, since I have the opportunity to do it, I realized, by the way, that this may play a little loud at your end. I don't know how I can control the volume, but I might ask Mr. Grizzly to take a look at that. So just a little volume check in case. But it seems that we might have a thank you to Tabby G, some breaking news. There we go. I can never time it because the screen goes purple first. One day I will time it right. I will actually count. But yeah, according to the BBC, the US and Iran still need to work out several sticking points before an agreement on the war can be reached, Vice President J.D. Vance has said. Asked by the BBC if President Donald Trump was close to signing a deal, Vance said it was too early to say, quote, when or if the two sides would finalize an agreement. Oh, they're always offered certainty. Early on Thursday, U.S. officials told the BBC the two countries had agreed a framework of a deal known as a Memorandum of Understanding, pending the approval of Trump and Iran's leadership. It would reportedly extend the ceasefire for 60 days and launch talks on the future of Iran's nuclear program. Iran's semi-official Tasmin news agency reported it had not been finalized or confirmed. According to reports, the framework could allow unrestricted passage through the Strait of Hormuz and give Iran 30 days to remove mines from the narrow shipping passageway. The U.S. would also lift its blockade and issue sanction waivers to allow Iran to resume selling oil. Axios, which first reported a tentative agreement between the U.S. and Iran on Thursday, said Trump had been briefed on the proposal but did not immediately sign off on it and would take a couple of days to consider it. 1/5 of the world's liquefied natural gas and oil normally pass through the Strait of Hormuz, and its closure has impacted global fuel trade. Speaking on Thursday evening, Vance said negotiators were, quote, going back and forth on a couple of language points, which include, quote, the question of enrichment. Quote, we're not there yet, but we're very close and we're going to keep on working at it, he told reporters. The U.S. has long demanded that Iran stop producing highly enriched uranium and dispose of its existing stockpile, which in theory could be used to create nuclear weapons. Iran insists its nuclear program is entirely peaceful and denies it is seeking to develop nuclear weapons. Vance struck an optimistic tone as he spoke to reporters in Washington, D.C., saying the U.S. believed the Iranians were negotiating in good faith. Oh, well, there you go. On Wednesday, Iranian state media reported elements of what they described as an unofficial draft of a 14-point memorandum of understanding between the two countries. The report included the lifting of Washington's naval blockade of Iranian ports, the withdrawal of U.S. forces from the vicinity of Iran, and the restoration of non-military traffic through the Strait of Hormuz, with Iran and Oman in control of the management and routing of vessels. The White House called the purported memorandum draft, quote, a complete fabrication. Since the initial ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran came into effect on the 8th of April, Trump has suggested repeatedly that the two sides are close to a deal and that negotiations are progressing, but so far there have been no substantive results. The president is facing mounting pressure to end the war, including from Gulf state allies, Democrats who oppose it, and some Republicans in Congress who have raised concerns about the length of the conflict. There's also the fact that he probably got a scare from the bond market, which has, however, I have to say, retreated significantly enough from the threatening danger zone of bond yields that we were talking about the other day. The U.S. 10-year bond has dropped, from what was showing at 4.69% on May 19th to 10 days later at 4.4280. And that's the big one that has to do, the one that affects us very much in terms of mortgage rates and credit card rates and all that kind of stuff. And the Canadian one, because it was being pulled up by the American one, that too has also retreated on the 10-year. We had spiked up to 3744 on May 19th, and we are now at 340.07. So our retreat has been bigger, actually, more significant than the one in the United States. And if I'm going to show you the graph here, at least for Canada, really going in a good direction after we got a bit of a scare here, because there are still enough people that have some mortgages to renew, and so the quickly rising was a very, very concerning. So let me show this to you. There you go. If we are looking here, let's see if I can make this a little bigger for us. There we go. And you will see here that we were at 3.47 on May 8th, and we just shot really quickly here to 67440, which was the maximum, the high on that day. And here, now we're at 3.40. And if you look at sort of like, let me see if I can get the yellow line to match the red line here. Right there, where that yellow line is, except you have this whole thing. But you can see that we are actually lower. We're at the same level that we were around March 10th, so we've come down a lot. So that will be very much good news for Canadians who have to make some financial decisions here. So that too may have played a part in him wanting to become a little more flexible. In addition to that, the president is facing mounting pressure to end the war, including from Gulf state allies, Democrats who oppose it, and some Republicans in Congress who have raised concerns about the length of the conflict. Thursday's conflicting reports on a possible remain. Both countries contradicted each other's claims and offered few details on the reported proposal, raising questions again about how close the sides actually are to ending hostilities. Trump and other officials have warned that option B, a return to combat operations, is still on the table. Extending the ceasefire, meanwhile, would allow U.S. and Iranian teams to discuss the far more complicated and technical issues at play, particularly about Iran's nuclear program and its remaining stockpile of highly enriched uranium. Trump had suggested that the U.S. could take it or together with Iran dilute it in place or in a third location. It also looks like they might be willing to agree to a ceasefire and to lift the blockade for a certain amount of time and discuss the what to do with the stockpiles a little later. Leading the White House briefing earlier on Thursday, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent declined to confirm that an agreement had been reached. Quote, "It's always a mistake to get out ahead of the president, and it's all going to be the president's decision," he said. Yeah, you don't say. Asked about whether any eventual peace deal includes reconstruction for Iran, he said, "We've got to get to the deal before we get to the other side." Meanwhile, both Iran and the U.S. have accused each other of violating the fragile ceasefire in the past few days. The Iran Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or the IRGC, said it targeted a U.S. base in the region on Thursday after fresh U.S. strikes on southern Iran overnight. Iranian state media reported on Thursday that the country's forces had taken down a U.S. aircraft, possibly a drone, but U.S. Central Command rejected the report, saying on social media, quote, "No U.S. aircraft were shot down. All U.S. assets are accounted for." So there we go. That is what we have there. Just going to check on the chat to see if Kit Tabby had a little bit more source information with regard. And frozen? Am I frozen? I appear to be frozen. Hopefully, you see me and you're still hearing me. Oh my God. Okay, CTV. All right, cool. Let me go check on that. CTV News. Yep, there it is. Breaking news, U.S. block on Strait of Hormuz will now be lifted. Okay. Thank you, Kit Tabby G. Really appreciate that. This is from Luca Caruso Moro from CTV. Says U.S. President Donald Trump says the U.S. blockade on ships traveling through the Strait of Hormuz will now be lifted. Ships caught in the strait due to our amazing and unprecedented naval blockade, which will now be lifted, may start the process of heading home. Say hello to your wives, husbands, parents, and families from me, your favorite president, reads this post on Truth Social. You hear fewer and fewer people's favorite presidents are. The U.S. and Iran had both set up independent blockades on most tanker traffic through the narrow passage on Iran's south shore. In peacetime, about 20% of the world's crude oil moves through the strait. The interruption to that thoroughfare has spiked oil and gas prices around the world and left Canadians in some areas paying more than $2 per liter at the pump. Well, you know what? I am very much interested in whether or not there has been a sharp drop in the price of oil as a result of this announcement having been made. So I'm going to go check out Trading Economics and see what it says here. Donald Trump posted, Iran must agree that they will never have a nuclear weapon or bomb. The Hormuz Strait must immediately be opened. No tolls for unrestricted shipping traffic. In both directions, all water mines, bombs, if any, will be terminated. We have removed through detonation numerous such mines with our great underwater minesweepers. Iran will complete the immediate removal and or detonation of any mines that are left, which will not be many. Ships caught in the strait due to our amazing and unprecedented naval blockade, which will now be lifted, may start the process of heading home. Say hello to your wives, husbands, parents, and families from me, your favorite president. The enriched material, sometimes referred to as nuclear dust, which is buried deep underground, with virtually collapsed mountains caused by our powerful B-2 bomber attack 11 months ago sitting on top of it, will be unearthed by the United States, which it is agreed is the only country, along with China, with the mechanical capability of doing so. In close coordination in conjunction with the Islamic Republic of Iran, plus the International Atomic Energy Agency, and destroyed. No money will be exchanged until further notice. Other ideas of far less importance have been agreed to. I will be meeting now in the Situation Room to make a final determination. Thank you for your attention to this matter. He also demanded the destruction of Iran's. So there you go. And that's basically all the story says at the moment. So hopefully There will be more news to come very soon. Wow. Okay. I definitely need to show you this because you can see the impact is pretty much uh, instant here. Well, not so much. Let me make that more clear. The drop today. Huh. Okay, that's not very working. Try this one. There we go. Crude oil. This is over the past few days, as we've been seeing that things might be coming closer to what we need here. So I'm just going to put this up for you. Again, it's taking several steps here, and I apologize for the lack of smoothness. There we go. There's the thing. And let's bring this more into focus. And here we see that just here on April 8th, we were at $112.70 a barrel. And then it dropped April 17th to 81.53, and then hit another peak over $100 on April 29th, came down to about $94, hit another peak on May 19th. That was the day the bond thing went a little nuts, at $99.55. And right now, back down, trading at $87.65. And if this continues going down over the next couple of days, we could soon, be at a little more reasonable levels here. So that is very important news, according to Trading Economics here. If I'm looking at their other stuff today, crude oil is down 1.45. Sorry, is down 1.68%, but for the week, down 9.72%, and for the month, 17%. Brent crude is down 17.8% for the month and down about 1.9 for the day. Ironically, natural gas going up during this period. Natural gas is up 20% this month. The price of gasoline, since we've been hearing more and more about a deal coming on, down 15.5% this month. Heating oil down 14.2% this month. Keep going here. Let's see, what else do we have? Gold going up as a result, 1.72% on the news. And let's see if it's doing anything else to the other things that we were looking at that are affected by the region, affected in the region, like aluminium, down. No, that's not down. Well, down a little bit today, but pretty much treading water here. Let's see, what else do we have? Sulfur, that's still rising. That's up 15% this month, despite that. Urea, however, for fertilizers, down nearly 6% today and down 35% for the month, which is very interesting. And also, interestingly, but it probably has nothing to do with that, just the price of eggs for some reason in the U.S. is down 41% this week. So that'll certainly bring some relief, but I don't think that's particularly related to the Strait of Hormuz. So there you go. Those are the bits of news here. I'm just going to take a look very quickly as well, see how it affected the Dow. Yep, the Dow up 381 points so far today to a record high for the Dow. And again, I'm going to show it to you here. You can see the immediate impact on the markets. There you go. Just going steadily up from when the news came out. And hopefully would be the same thing for Canada if I'm looking at the Toronto Stock Exchange here. And again, yep, a little bit up here. So we're seeing here, definitely up from this was about around the start this morning. So yeah, markets going up, gold going up, price of oil going down. Seems to be some very positive market reaction to this. Good market momentum. Hopefully, nobody will screw this up, and that we are near the end of this part of it anyway. Gold up $72.53 US an ounce, up 1.6% today already. So thank you, Kit Tabby G, putting a word of that in the chat so that I can bring a little more details here on the breaking news and what it could mean here. Yes, Daily Beans also. Yes, I'm a big fan of the Daily Beans, as you know. $300 billion in reparations for Iran. Okay, I did not see that in the CTV article as well. Let's see, what else do we have here? Kitabi D giving us all the feed here. Washington rebranded $300 billion as international investment vehicle. Some people that easily afford champagne will be popping the corks today. Russia will celebrate as well. Have a great weekend, everyone. Will it be a manic Monday? It is looking like it will be. So, wow. And yes, a lot of people canceling the performances in Washington as well, which is going to be interesting. But yes, Trump says a lot of things, and as the person said, it would be unwise to get ahead of Trump, but he's the one that seems to be announcing it. So maybe it's a thing. Maybe it's a thing. Maybe the world just got slightly less tense, and that's a good thing. All right, kids and cubs, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because we love making this for you. Remember, sharing is caring. Word of mouth is priceless. Tell your peeps and poops all about us, especially, like I mentioned, share the content. Share. Very important. Remember, let's see what else. If you would like to what do I say after I tell you that? I'm so excited by this news. So I may have skipped something, but hey, that's all right. If you would like to help us, kids and cubs, scan this QR code. It'll bring you to our YouTube page. Like, share, and subscribe. As you can see, I was able to adjust the camera so that I'm not covered by the thing anymore. Thought about that yesterday. So if you can scan that, it will bring you to our YouTube page. Like, share, and subscribe. Very important. Again, press the bell with the notification and click all. And if you're watching on your phone within 7 days of the airing, not live, if you swipe left on the comment section, that will bring you to the hype section where you can give us some hype points. And do remember, kids and cubs, that that helps us gain some viewership and some profile there. And given what's going on, we kind of need that. So that's another way again that you can contribute to the show without it having to be financial, and that would indeed eventually have a financial benefit for us. So thank you very much for all that you do that way. Let's see. If you do want to support us financially with actual dollars, one of the ways you can do that is by scanning this QR code, which will bring you to the True North Eager Beaver Emergency Hydration Fund, where you can buy a cup of coffee for your favorite grizzly, a cup of hot chocolate, or some days on a day where I need a little more soothing, some lovely chai tea. I don't know if I can't tip it that much because the camera's still in the way, but let's just have a little beaver moistener together. Because a moist beaver is a very happy beaver. I have it on good authority. Kid Saucy says so, and Saucy wouldn't lie, right? So if you want to keep your favorite beaver moist, well then, a couple loonies or toonies in our emergency hydration fund goes a long way, and whatever's left over after we hire more staff, hot chocolate and coffee and chai to help us put the show together, goes back into the show. It helps us to pay for, internet fees and subscription fees to new services and software services and stuff that we need to make the show. So thank you. Our web hosting of course. So thank you so very much, Kids and Cubs, for all that you do to help us. Again, if it were not for you, this would be much more difficult for us to do and to remain on air. So every, even a nickel, even a nickel helps. So that will bring you to our coffee page, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver. And there we are set up for a one-time or multiple or recurring donations that you can stop anytime. You're not locked in for any period of time. So you get to determine it. And we get 95 to 97% of your donation if you donate that way. If you're donating through YouTube, we have memberships, super chats, and stickers. We get about 70% of your donations. And thank you, Kids and Cubs. I've seen that there was a little bit, there was a little uptick, important enough uptick in revenue for the month of May than in April, when we were really being throttled at our hardest. If there are more of you who decided to contribute or buy a membership this month or make us extra donation through YouTube this month to help us out, many thanks for that. But it has appeared April and May so far, however, are with all the throttling, are our two thinnest months so far this year. So, but definitely better. Hopefully with that, we'll be able to get a little bit more advertising, do a little push, and that will help us as well. So we thank you for what you've been doing. We have noticed, like I said, noticed the extra shares, noticed the extra donations coming in. We are very grateful for all the ways you are helping. It warms my heart. It really does. You guys are very, very good to us. Let's put it that way. So if you are not able to contribute financially, the other way, if you want to contribute by avoiding the US CE Tech Bro company's direct bank transfer to True North Eagerbeaver at gmail.com ensures that your transaction is your transaction is 100% Canadian. Get your Canadian traction here. 100% Canadian, and there are no service fees, and therefore we get all of your donation, and we thank you so much for that. Because democracy is something that you do, Kids and Cubs, I do have the 3 petitions now. And I'm going to give them to you, starting with the new one that was brought to us by Kit Hugh, as I mentioned, and that's House of Commons petition rcommons.ca E7124. And I am going to put that in the chat for you here, Kids and Cubs, so that you can start sharing this one. There you go. And let's see, it is taking its sweet time to come up, I'll tell you that. Don't know why that is on this particular one. It is there, though. I did get to see it yesterday. Man. Hugh, I'm trying. I'm really trying to promote this petition, but it is not cooperating. Okay, let me move on to our commons.ca petition E7395. Which is to call upon the House of Commons to stop funding Stornoway as a private residence for the leader of the official opposition. 11,382 signatures collected on that one so far. And I will give you the link to that. This is the link for the first one from Hugh. Hopefully it will open for you. This is the link for the Stornoway one. There we go. There we go. The one that Hugh sent, I will read it to you because I had a chance to read it to the record. This was initiated by another Hugh Winters from Toronto, and it's a petition on foreign affairs matters. Petition to the Government of Canada. Whereas ambassadors accredited to Canada are expected to conduct themselves in the manner that respects Canadian sovereignty, values, and the principles of diplomacy, whereas foreign envoys must maintain decorum, impartiality, and respect towards the government and people of Canada, and whereas there are concerns that certain actions and statements by U.S. Ambassador Pete Hoekstra have been inconsistent with the standards of conduct expected of a diplomatic representative to Canada, we, the undersigned residents of Canada, call upon the House of Commons to formally review the conduct of U.S. Ambassador Pete Hoekstra. Should the review find that Ambassador Hoekstra's actions are inconsistent with diplomatic protocol or detrimental to Canada's interests, the Government of Canada take appropriate diplomatic measures, including the possible request for his recall. This one opened on February 25th and closes on June 25th. It is being sponsored by Alexandre Boulris, who will be leaving soon to run for Quebec Solitaire and has 10,163 signatures at the moment. Might be time to make that number jump a little. Yeah. So spread that around, kids and cubs, and let's see if we can maybe, like I said, I'm not sure how effective it will be to get rid of Ambassador Doucheface, especially since the U.S. administration will probably just send out someone who is doing the same thing in the same way. But there you go. And finally, our last petition, kids and cubs, is House of Commons petition E7340, I believe. Come on, there you go. Yes, and it is the one that calls upon the House of Commons to invoke its authority under Section 53 of the Supreme Court Act to refer the constitutionality of Alberta's Justice Statutes Amendment Act of 2025 to the Supreme Court of Canada and to direct the Foreign Influence Transparency Commissioner to immediately investigate the meetings between the Alberta Prosperity Project and the Trump administration. We've got 34,299 signatures on that one, and it closes on June 20th. So there you have that, kids and cubs. Remember, today is protest day in Alberta against the UCP government of Danielle Smith. Alberta Federation of Labor is taking a big hand in that one. Gil McGowan, its president. So if you want to know where to go to protest today, I would suggest going to the AFL's website in order to get that information here about where to go and where there might be a protest in your locality. Here, let's see if there's anything here. No, okay. And on the 30th, tomorrow, you are going to have the same thing in the province of Ontario against Doug Ford. So there you go. Let's see what else. I guess we're at the part where I'm offering you words of wisdom. Kids and cubs, my words of wisdom are actually inspired a little bit by Stephen Guilbeault. Over the past few days, we've seen, and with WAP Canoe as well, we've seen people stand up and make their opinions known with class, being calm and yet firm about what it is they believe, without trying to torch and burn everything down on the way out. I think one of the reasons it actually struck me that Stephen Guilbeault so annoyed Danielle Smith is because she knew that when she was speaking to him or with him, that he was a person of integrity, and she's not. And that she was never going to get the best out of him, that her tricks and stuff was never going to work against him, because he knows the file environmentally way better than she does. For him, it's his life's passion. So, and we saw that. We saw a man that did his work despite the fact being vilified, never wavered. Then, when the new government came in and saw that there may not be some room for him, stepped away from cabinet, and now he is stepping away from caucus while making his views known. of course, but being fair and not seeking to burn it down and not seeking to hurt anybody along the way. There could be reason that maybe he's got his next gig lined up and it's probably going to be for some type of advocacy organization that's going to be doing a lot of work with the federal government, and therefore probably not a good idea to burn the bridge. But he's doing it with class and dignity and integrity. He believes in what he believed, and he's leaving on a point of absolute principle. And in Danielle Smith, well, we have someone that apparently doesn't have any other than power. So, in a world full of Danielle Smiths, be a Stephen Guilbeault. That would be my word. Interrupt patterns. Don't allow people to gaslight you. Calmly and politely, but firmly, press back. And if a situation is such that you feel that you can no longer be helpful there, or not as helpful as you could be somewhere else, you don't have to kick people in the shins on the way out. You just have to gracefully make your exit. Thank you very much for your time. But I believe my time here is done, and it's time for me to move on to other things. And it doesn't need to be more confrontational than that. So there you go. Act with integrity. Fight for what you believe in, from within or from without, as much as you can. And if there's an opportunity where fighting from within or without is not as effective anymore, and maybe going within or going without might be the most effective way for you to make your next move, just make it. People will say what they will say. Make the move. Stay true to yourself. Make sure that when it's you yourself in a mirror and you're looking into it, you are proud because you know what you've done. All right. That's my words of wisdom. I actually had some today. What do you know? All right, kids and cubs, at the count of 3, may I please have a raucous going into the weekend? Mr. Beaver, please cue the cock, and maybe a little happy camping along the way. On 1, on 2, and 3. Let me hear it. Yes, that is a good thing. And I'm seeing that we have a person here, Mr. Paul, that says, a convicted criminal is a person of integrity. Yes, sir. A convicted criminal can be a person of integrity. You seem to forget that some criminals can rehabilitate, and being willing to go to jail as a protester when you're protesting for something as essential as not slapping Mother Earth across the face or Mother Nature across the face every chance you get. Yeah, there are some things that are worth going to jail for, sir. And if your imagination or sense of creativity is not able to contain that possibility that some people actually do go to jail for noble reasons, this might not be the show for you. And this might not be the country for you either. Just saying. If all you're going to look at is has a criminal conviction and you don't care what it is for or how it came about, you're just willing to write someone off in everything that they say and completely eliminate their humanity, that's a look. And no one's forcing you to wear it. Maybe you want more wisdom. Maybe you would want to check yourself in a mirror, see what you look like before you make statements like that. They're clearly ill-informed and of bad faith and ill-intended. First, look at the speck, the beam in your own eye, sir, before commenting on the speck in the eye of others. All right, exactly. Kit Linda, Nelson Mandela was a criminal in jail. All right. I have no time for ignorant comments like that, where you dismiss the entire worth of a human being. based on something. Just, he was convicted once, therefore, he serves no other purpose. Screw you. Screw you. Don't talk about fellow human beings that way. Sorry, kids and cubs. There's no room at my table for people like that. All right, kids and cubs. Have a absolute wonderful weekend. I did hear you do the cock-a-doodle-doo. Sorry, it was a little delayed, but here's some cock-a-doodle-doo just for you. Even you, Paul. Even you. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music. I was actually thinking about it while the credits were running. So, a bad convicted criminal is a person of integrity. Yeah, he had so much integrity that he was willing to go to jail for what his beliefs. Imagine being of such bad faith that you would take an action that actually shows that someone has integrity and try to weaponize it against them. And imagine coming into a room like this and thinking that we would be so easily duped as to buy into that. Some people don't take the time to get to know the people in the room before they open their mouth and think that what they have to say will be welcome or work there. And that's all I will say on that. Now, speaking about, instead of some Canadians who make us proud, there was some success and some really good news for Canadians at the French Open. I will tell you, kids and cubs, the first two rounds have been total carnage. Seeds are falling, dropping like flies. This often, of course, happens at the French Open. It's the most unpredictable of the Grand Slams. But the men's number one, Yannick Sinner, lost yesterday. And the women's number two, Elena Rybakina, lost yesterday. And the loss by Yannick Sinner actually helps Felix Auger-Aliassime because he's in Sinner's half of the draw. And the loss makes Felix Auger-Aliassime the highest ranked player remaining in that half of the draw. He's got a big matchup coming up against Brendan Nakashima, who's ranked 31st in the tournament. But if he can get through there, his following match will be against somebody that is not in the top 32. But someone possibly at number 36, though. Although there's a young man here, last name Moise Kwame from France, who's having a breakout tournament ranked 318th in the world and has just made the third round of his actually home Grand Slam. So he's a story that will definitely people will be following. So a victory from Felix Auger-Aliassime and a gritty victory by Victoria Mboko against Katerina Siniakova, who is pretty not in the top 32, but again probably around the 36th. Mboko was down a full set and a break in the second and managed just out of sheer will and determination to win that match. So she advances to the third round at the French Open as well, and her next match will be against, just taking a look here at the draw, because Madison Keys, number 19, and a former Grand Slam winner herself. So that should be one heck of a matchup. I don't think any of them are scheduled to play today, so they have the day off, and that's good. And then let's see, in doubles, Gabriela Dabrowski and Luisa Stani from Brazil. Gabriela Dabrowski, of course, a Canadian, won their second round match in women's doubles, so they advanced to the third round, and I believe together they are ranked fourth in the tournament. So there you go. And I don't think we have any men in the doubles. So that's that. And Gabrielle Dabrowski is also registered in the mixed doubles and currently on the court. And it's a close one. They're in the third set on serve 5-5. So that one has some drama to it. Hopefully, we will get a positive result there for the Canadians. For the Canadian, and I believe she's the only one registered in the mixed double tournament. And then if we are looking at the junior boys, we had 3 Canadians in the first round. One made it through to the second round, and unfortunately, he lost in the second round of qualifications. So we'll have to wait to see if there are any Canadians in the main draw for the boys and the girls singles. At the International Ice Hockey Federation World Championships, Team Canada's next match, as I mentioned, is going to be against Finland. And that, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is a match that will be played tomorrow at 2 p.m. But for tonight, it'll be Carolina Hurricanes, Montreal Canadiens, Game 5, must win for the Habs. And with that, Kits and Cubs, I believe that's all I had for you. I was going to bring you some Canadians who make us proud also from the world of music, but I don't actually have the articles up right now, and we've passed 3 hours and a half, so I am going to call it quits now. So, amour et bisous. And we will see you Monday. I might have a 1 hour pre-record on Monday morning. Because I'm probably going to have to do it before I go away this evening, because I'm not going to be back till Monday afternoon. Potentially might do a bonus beaver later Monday afternoon, because with what's going on with the blockade, if that's lifted, and a couple of other things that I want to talk about today that I didn't get to the time to talk about, I'm sure that there will be no lack of news. I don't think that this is going to be a slow news weekend at all. So I might do that 1 hour today, based on what I know today, and then come in sometime later on Monday to do a second bonus show. Maybe even get Mr. Grizzly in if he's back home from work at that time. Spend some time together. All right. So that's what I got for you. Amour et bisous. Have a most beaverific weekend, and we will see you very, very soon. Bye, everyone.